Let's get peppy. Welcome to PEP 237. That's Planet Extra Podcast. I am Chad Lichadalo, a host of Planet America and ABC Australia, and this is an official podcast of the ABC. So say hi to the Ombudsman for me. On PEP, we cover all the stuff that's too nerdy for TV. If you listen, you can find us on YouTube at the PEP with Chaz and Dr. Dave channel, and you can find highlights there now as well. And we're on Facebook at Chaz from Planet America channel. And you'll also find timestamps and show notes in our blurbs. And if you leave a comment under our current episode video, we are likely to see it. You can also tweet us or blue sky us at PEPCHASDRDAVE at PepChaz Dr. Dave, that is. And if you want to chat to some fellow peppers, you can join our Discord server. It's on the screen now or in the blurb of the podcast. But if you want to contact me or Lockie the Lucky privately, why not email us? The address is producer@pepthepodcast.com. That address again is producer@pepthepodcast.com. And do not forget to subscribe for all that peppy goodness. It all helps. And we're recording this at 8:09 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's 5:09 a.m. New York time, in case you're wondering. And my God, I read all that very quickly today. This is what happens when I record at night. I'm awake. And for now, let's turn to the lady who was never going to raise the stakes on inconsequential views. I'm talking, of course, about the Australia Institute's undoubted star. Sorry, Greg. I'm talking about Emma Shortis. Hello, Emma.
Hey, Chaz. Sucked in, Greg.
For those who don't know, Greg is not just a friend and colleague of Emma's, but he's actually a friend of mine. But still second to Emma. Emma, tell us about yourself.
So I direct the International and Security Affairs program at the Australia Institute, but I'm a historian by training. I'm not a security bro. And I focus on US domestic politics, but also Australia's relationship with the US. So it's been a fun couple of weeks, Chaz.
It has. It really has. It's been a fun couple of decades for me, I have to say. Tell us, Emma, what are you grateful for?
So I am grateful at the moment for Chappell Roan.
Oh, yeah.
American pop star.
Yes.
For two reasons. The first one is my 5-year-old is obsessed with her. And there is just nothing better than seeing a 5-year-old in a bubble bath, just living her best life, belting out the most inappropriate lyrics to Pink Pony Club. But also, Chappell Roan just announced on Instagram that she started something called the Midwest Princess Project, which is raising money to uplift trans youth and LGBTQI plus young people in particular through what she describes as action, care and connection. She's already raised $400,000, which is super cool. Like, what a legend.
Cool. Absolutely. It is not a tribute to Chappell Roan that you were dressed up and I'm dressed up. We should probably mention this. This is something Lockie put together. Lockie's not here at the moment because Lockie is getting ready to go overseas. He is just about to leave. He will edit this. This will be the last thing he'll edit. I think he might put in a cameo performance at about 11 o'clock tonight after Emma's gone. But he did before he left. For those who are listening, our entire studio here is covered, or studio room is covered with caution tape because we are renovating. Well, not really. This is like a tribute to the East Wing. If Trump can do it, we can do it. So Emma and I are decked out in our high-vis vests.
I think we look cute.
I think we look great. I think we do pull it off, like you said before we started recording. I'm grateful. Well, look, I got to be honest. I was going to do a big, long grateful, not using any brand names, about the various American chains that have just opened up near the ABC. I was going to be talking about pretzels. I was going to be talking about Frosties. I wasn't going to be mentioning any names, but I was going to go on forever. But you know what? I've got a better one than that. I am grateful for Bill Wyman. For those who have been following on our Twitter or Blue Sky or the posts I've been putting up, I was meant to talk to Bill yesterday. Bill, unfortunately, he has given me permission to mention this. Unfortunately, his cat got bitten by a tick. His cat Shanty, and we'll put up some pictures of Shanty because apparently the secret name of Shanty is McLovin, which is wonderful. Unfortunately, Shanty is no longer around after that bite. It was bad news, and it took the whole day for that to happen, and it was not a good day for Bill. The reason I'm grateful for Bill, apart from the fact he's just a lovely guy, is he spent the entire day trying to do PEP. Despite that situation, I was like, Bill, you really don't need to do that. So Bill is well beyond the call. And let's all put out some good thoughts for Bill. If you want to send him your condolences, feel free to. I did get his permission to mention it to you, so you won't freak him out if you message him on social media. But yeah, thank you very much, Bill, for trying, and of course we all understand, and we really hope that that you're okay at this time and your family are okay. I am not looking forward to what happens when my wonderful Mercury leaves this earth. So I am thinking of you, Bill. Also, we should say, look, the TV, for those who are watching rather than listening, the TV usually has graphics and stuff on it. That is not going to be the case because Lockie's not here. That will also not be the case on the next podcast because we're also going to be doing that by ourselves before we have a replacement for Lockie for the next few weeks. That we do have a replacement editor coming, but they won't be here for the next PEP. The next PEP is not going to come out on the Friday. Because the person who I'm going to get to edit is going to start on Saturday and then they will edit it. So the next PEP is going to come out on Saturday, not Friday. Might even be Sunday. I don't know. Let's see how long it takes them to edit it. I feel a little bit sorry for them just jumping straight into
Baptism of fire.
Yeah. It's to these Moses-like, so 10 Commandments-like podcasts. But yes, so anyway, so it's not going to be on Friday. I mean, you can do, look, hey, you got a PEP on Wednesday here. You can this will tide you over. But yeah, the next one's going to be on probably Saturday, maybe Sunday. We'll see. And then after that, we'll go back to regular programming, probably once a week until Lockie comes back. And Lockie will be back for the final podcast or final week of podcasting for the year, which will be either the last week of November or first week of December. I'm not quite sure. But around there. Let's have some quick correspondence and then let's get into some updates. Rare earth correspondence. We're actually going to be talking about rare earth later on. I probably should save that for them, but I am very incompetent. Aussie Uncle Phil just had a few little additions for us when we were talking about rare earths last week. I said a big part of the current China-USA trade dispute was Trump putting charges on Chinese shipping. That's what Xi was responding to when he imposed additional license controls on rare earths. You guys missed that important piece of the puzzle. That's why I'm reading this out, Aussie Uncle Phil, because you didn't. Thank you. He also added, just not a completely different note, China has a potentially large domestic market. I was referring to how China can support its industries a bit more with this domestic market. Mm-hmm. China has a potentially large domestic market, but it's not there. They've been trying to stimulate it, but they just won't spend. And it's been worse since the property bubble burst. The more relevant point is that China has divested its exports from the USA alone, so they can now more easily weather US restrictions, which goes to the soybean situation, which we've talked about a number of times. This is my favourite correspondence. Not this particular one in particular, but just this topic is my favourite topic of correspondence this year. Contronym correspondence. I love that we're turning this podcast gradually into a contronym podcast. Did you listen to our original contronym stuff? No, that's okay. No, sorry. This is a word which I couldn't even remember when it first came up. A contronym is a word which has two meanings, at least two meanings, which are the opposite of each other. And you wouldn't know which one you're using. So we got a few more examples. People keep on sending in more contronyms. Aussie Uncle Phil, he
on fire.
Yeah, he had a big week. He said when I was young, they were called auto-antonyms. I didn't even know that. He gave us three more. So this will give you an example. Cleave, which means to cut apart and to join together.
Does it?
Yes.
Who knew?
Dust, which means to dust something, to get rid of the dust. And to sprinkle dust on something.
Yeah, and also dark matter. I'm currently reading his Dark Materials to my daughter.
There you go. Oversight means that you didn't pay attention or that you're watching something carefully. Mm-hmm. Isn't that good?
It's pretty good.
And Kevin has another one, quantum. A quantum leap is a big leap.
Yeah.
Quantum mechanics, teensy little mechanics. Yes. How about that?
Very cool.
Yeah, contronyms, they're a really cool concept. And we just keep on getting Pepper scenes in more and more.
Yeah, what a ridiculous language.
Yes. And Luke says, hate to actually, Dr. Dave, but I'm pretty sure inflammable is not a contronym. It never means not flammable. It always means flammable. Fair call. I'll pass it on to Dr. Dave. Lockie is here. Lockie, I told the Peppers you'd be here at 11.
No, I'm here.
You can't keep him away.
Where are the red lights on the cameras?
The red lights are on.
He's not recording.
What do you mean they're not recording?
It's not on.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. No, you're...
Lucky! Piss off! All right, another update, terrorism update. You might recall Trump commuted the sentence of, or pardoned literally everyone associated with the January 6th riot at the beginning of the year. A number of those folks have gone on to pursue their passion for breaking the law further. And one of them was arrested last week, a fellow by the name of Christopher Moynihan, 34-year-old from New York. He, on January 6, 2021, broke through a fence, entered the Capitol, and rifled through documents in the Senate gallery. According to his documents, court documents, while he was doing that, he said, there's got to be something in here we can fucking use against these scumbags. You can see him in that picture there right now. That's him palling around with a QAnon shaman. He was originally sentenced to almost 2 years jail time until he was pardoned. And last week, he wanted a bit more of jail time, it seems. It seems he missed the clink. He was arrested for plotting to assassinate Hakeem Jeffries. Didn't get very far. He texted someone about his plans, told them he would target a speech that Jeffries was going to make on October 17 in New York. It was a Hakeem Jeffries speech he's talking about, so he would have got a clean shot. Everyone would have been asleep. So he would have just walk up to the guy. So, I'm not a big fan of Hakeem Jeffries speaking. Look, he wrote, I cannot allow this terrorist to live. This is what he's talking about. Hakeem Jeffries being a terrorist, just so you know.
Wow.
Yeah. I cannot allow this terrorist to live. Even if I am hated, he must be eliminated. I will kill him for the future, he says. And anyway, the person he spoke to tipped off the police. And the reason I tell you all this is because it didn't really get in the news much, did it?
No, I didn't. I haven't seen this at all.
I would have thought that's quite a significant story,
Yeah.
but apparently not. It got minor coverage, and then the people just moved on. And we've been hearing endlessly lately about how all the politically violent loons are left-wingers. Mm-hmm. Not this one. Part of the reason some people think that is because of the lack of reporting of stories like this. So I thought I should just mention it. Also, I promise you, if Biden had pardoned this guy and then he'd wanted to kill Trump, you would have heard about it.
Yeah.
I promise you. And Mike Johnson was asked about this. He tried to make it about the No Kings Parade for some reason.
He did.
Have a listen.
This is one of a number of individuals who were pardoned as a result of January 6th who have been rearrested on various charges. Did President Trump make a mistake by just offering up a blanket pardon for every single person that was convicted as a result of that?
I don't know any of the details of this at all. I don't know who's been alleged to have been involved in this. I will say that anybody who threatens political violence against elected officials or anyone else should be have the full weight and measure of the Department of Justice on their head. I trust that will happen. I hope it will. We are intellectually consistent about that, obviously. I will tell you this. The violence on the left is far more prevalent than the violence on the right. Don't make me go through the list. You all know it. All of the assassination culture that's been advanced now, this is the left in almost every case that is advancing this and not the right. So let's not make it a partisan issue. You don't want me to go there. We're just going to say anybody, any deranged individual, this has to stop. And the rhetoric that you saw on display on Saturday, we highlighted yesterday, it plays into this, okay? There are people that get triggered. There are deranged people in society when they hear elected officials participating in a rally that was paid for by Soros and sponsored by communists with signs and placards and mantras that were repeated that we should bring death to, fascist politicians. What they mean is they call every Republican a fascist now. They're calling for the death of elected officials. Please, enough of that. We got to stop it. Stop the rhetoric, stop all the nonsense, and stop the violence.
You know what I like about that grab? From the looks of your expression, you don't like much about it. I'll tell you what I like. I like the fact that no one said anything about partisanship. They were asking about pardoning people on January 6th. They didn't talk about right-wingers and MAGA people. They were just saying, do you think it's wise to pardon a whole bunch of criminals because then they might commit crimes. It's just, that was the question. And Mike Johnson's going, hey, don't make this about partisanship. Hey, what are you doing? Don't make this about partisanship, he says, as he makes it about partisanship. That's, I like that.
The pivot is so impressive, though. They're all getting so good at that Trump pivot to be talking about, whatever it is they want to be talking about. It's impressive to watch.
Yeah, Johnson is very deft at the pivot.
Yeah.
It has to be said. And he's also, I'll give him credit. It's kind of credit. It's a bit backhanded credit. He's very good at sounding responsible while being incredibly partisan.
Yeah.
He's very good at that.
He's got that real common sense tone to his voice. Yeah.
Like, Mike, if you genuinely want to lower the temperature, what you do is you don't stoke the fire with your content while using a calm tone. You also, at a conceptual level, also be calm. He doesn't do that. He's actually quite antagonistic at a conceptual level, while being very sleepy in what he wraps it in. By contrast, someone who doesn't wrap anything in anything is Donald Trump, and this was his response to the same question.
The same day you established this task force back on January 20th was the same day you pardoned the January 6th defendants.
Yeah, very proud of that. Yeah.
Just last weekend, one of them was charged with allegedly threatening to kill House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. And a big theme of this task force has been allowing law enforcement to do their job and holding accountable people who go after law enforcement. Do you worry that your actions back on day one undermine what this task force is trying to accomplish?
No, you have thousands of people that we're dealing with, and if one goes haywire, look at what this guy in Virginia said, where he wanted to kill his opponent. He's going to kill his opponent. He's going to kill his opponent's children and I think wife, and he continues to run, and the Democrats continue. He's running for Attorney General in Virginia. Look what he said. So now, do you think all Democrats should be prohibited from living anymore? I mean, think of what he said. He's going to kill his opponent, and he's going to kill the children of his opponent, and I think the wife. I said, this guy's sick. That is a sick guy. And how do you vote for somebody like that? But I don't view that every Democrat would say that, because not every Democrat would say that.
What do you reckon there, Emma?
For my mental health, I try to avoid listening to too much Trump or Johnson. So this is quite an experience for me, because I read. I read instead of listening, and
I'm sorry.
Should be. It's shocking. The way that he does his such violent rhetoric, the way he uses his face, the way he kind of shrugged and raised his lip at the idea, like he doesn't care that somebody's threatening the life of the minority speaker. Yeah, he doesn't care. And I mean, I think we've said that for a long time, that he relishes violence, the way he's said he's so proud of pardoning all of those January 6
he's very proud of
martyrs.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wild. And again, what is the point in pointing out the hypocrisy or the fact that it's not true? None of what they say is true, is particularly about left-wing violence or an assassination culture. That's a new one.
Yes.
But, here we are.
I should also say, you kind of touched on it there. What do you say about Jay Jones there? Well, we're going to get to Jay Jones later. That just in no way reflects what Jay Jones actually said. What Jay Jones said wasn't good. I'm going to knock him when we get there. But he wasn't saying he wants to kill his opponent and his kids and his wife. He definitely was not saying that. I tell you what, I'm going to react to that in a way that you might surprise you at first, but in the end, it won't.
You're going to pivot.
I'm going to pivot. Okay. I'm going to pivot Mike Johnson style. Even though he completely misrepresented what Jay Jones said, I agree with his main point. His main point is that the fact that this guy is a potential assassin doesn't mean that all January 6 people are potential assassins. It's a cheap point. I actually agree. That's true. But here's the pivot. It's a cheap point that Trump would not hesitate to exploit if it was the other way around. Literally every time an illegal immigrant commits a crime, they are supposedly representative of all illegal immigrants. And it's the double standard that drives me crazy. Yeah. It really does.
It's incredibly frustrating.
That's one of J.D. Vance's specials as well, the double standard.
Yeah. And they did that with the No Kings protest as well, the way that Leavitt characterised, all of them as, what was the quote? Illegal aliens, Hamas supporters, and something deranged Democrats. Or the way they managed to other and whole swathes of the American population to make them not human is yeah, it's shocking and it's deeply hypocritical and violent and frightening.
Anyway, all you can do is correct the record, which is what I just did.
Yep.
So there you go. And I've got one more update before we get into the main content. This is a good one. This is a good one because it's not been reported a lot. This is a redistricting update. Now, you might recall after Texas gerrymandered their state to the tune of 3 to 5 extra seats for Republicans, California initiated a retaliation process. But it's not easy for California because they have an independent redistricting commission. So they need to change the constitution to overrule that commission. We'll get to that in a second. But meanwhile, a bunch of other red states were potentially going to also gerrymander for Republicans. And it was all looming quite ominously. So what's happened since then? We don't have the end of the story yet, but we've turned a few pages. Firstly, Missouri successfully redistricted. So rather than winning 6 seats out of 8, Republicans are now almost certainly going to win 7 seats out of 8. If you count the Texas seats, that means Republicans are up 4 to 6 seats. In North Carolina, the House and the Senate just passed a new electoral map as well. So that's very likely to go from 10-4 Republicans to 11-3 Republicans. That's another seat for Republicans. Now, you might go, hang on, they've got a Democratic governor. How does that work? Doesn't the Democratic governor just veto that bill? No. That's not how it works in North Carolina.
It's a special place.
It is a special. It is. It really is. North Carolina is a vision for the future if things go horribly wrong.
Yep.
North Carolina is so partisan and so hackish that when the Democrats first won the governor's seat a few years back, and they had a trifecta. They had a Republican trifecta, Republican House, Republican Senate, Republican governor, just for a few more weeks until the Democratic governor took over after the election win. They used that special session of 2 to 3 weeks to basically rig North Carolina so the Democrats could never have power there again. They gerrymandered the hell out of the state Senate and House races. And at the same time, they can't gerrymander the governor's race because that's the whole state. So what they did was they took as much power away from the governor as possible. And they voted for the governor to not be able to veto all kinds of stuff. So in North Carolina, the governor has particularly little power now, which means they can't veto this electoral map. So even though there's a Democratic governor, they can't do anything about it. So they are going to get an extra seat out of North Carolina as well. What that means then is Republicans are up 5 to 7 seats for the midterms. In Indiana, the redistricting effort seems to be falling apart somewhat. For whatever reason, the leadership team don't want to do it. They're Republicans. They don't want to do it. Yeah, just give them credit. I don't know what their motivation is. Like, it might be personal. I don't know. But they're not into it. And they're about to run out of time. So there's not going to be a seat there. That's despite Trump personally meeting with the leadership team and trying to pressure them. And J.D. Vance met with like 55 of the House reps. No dice. They're not doing it.
Wow.
They said no. Yes. Also, New Hampshire isn't going to happen because a Republican governor, Kelly Ayotte, said, no, I'm not doing it. For whatever reason.
Yep.
Good on her. So that leaves Florida, Kansas, Ohio, Nebraska, and Louisiana. There could end up being anything from 12 to 14 extra seats for Republicans if they all play ball. That's before we count any of the blue seats, right? Maybe none of them will. Maybe we'll end up 5 to 7 seats for Republicans. We don't know yet. That's where we are there. Now, Democrats. The California special election is about to be held next week. It's looking like a problem for Republicans. Originally, it actually was pretty close in polling, and there was concerns it wasn't going to pass potentially. A recent CBS poll had it winning 62-38. They just need 50% plus 1. So that's going to get up, especially when you look at the ads. Ad Impact says the no vote, that's the Republican side, has spent $341,000 in advertising over the last 2.5 weeks compared to $26 million on the yes side. In terms of booked ads for the last week and a half, Ad Impact said the no vote had $9,000 booked to $10 million for the yes vote. So what that tells me, I mean, I don't think their strategy is to advertise at 3 a.m. I think that the Republican donors are just going, no, we're not going to win this. I'm just going to save my money.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've already kind of written off California, generally speaking.
Yeah, but
anyway.
That's 5 seats.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking there. We're talking 5 seats. So California is going to get that up, I think, unless the courts stop them, which I don't think they will. Which that means Republicans are going to be either even or up by 3 seats before the other states jump in.
But I mean, California, if that's successful in California, then I imagine those other states will be more motivated to jump in, like Louisiana in particular.
They probably
Be very
will.
surprised if they didn't.
And here's the interesting one. Democrats don't have a lot of other options. We have discussed this a number of times. They can maybe score 1 out of Maryland, maybe 1 out of Utah of all places, because Utah has an independent commission which is trying to stop a gerrymander, and maybe 1 out of Illinois. The state which we haven't mentioned until now, no one ever mentions it because the process is too arduous. That state is Virginia.
Yeah, right.
I think Virginia is going to get up. Let me explain. To gerrymander successfully in Virginia, this is what they need to do. They need to have 2 special sessions vote for it. 2 in 2 different administrations. And a people's vote within 90 days after that. That's what they need. So it's hard.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a Republican governor who is not going to call a special session and is going to veto it. But it just so happens that Youngkin called a special session of Parliament in May last year to hammer out a budget. But they never formally adjourned the special session. Now, I don't know if they did on purpose or if it was an accident, but it hasn't been adjourned. It's still in session. Technically, the legislature can just call people back and vote for anything they want, anytime they want. And he can't stop them. So they're going to.
Okay.
And they have an election next week.
Yeah.
So then that's a second session.
Wow.
And then if Abigail Spanberger wins the governorship, they'll then send it through to the governor. Because the bill doesn't have to pass the first time round. It just has to get through the House and Senate. Has to pass a second time round.
Okay.
So they're going to avoid the Republican governor the first time round. This is some serious lawyering going on here.
This is like Stephen Miller level.
It really is. They're going to avoid the Republican governor the first time round. They're going to somehow get a special session. A week later, they're going to vote again. Then they're going to get the governor to sign it. And then they're going to have their vote 90 days' time. So what's that going to be? February next year, which is enough time just to redraw the boundaries before the primaries. And you know how many seats we're talking there? 3. So that's 3 more Democratic seats right there. So what that means is after Virginia's finished, it's either going to be even or the Democrats will be ahead by 3 before the other states weigh in. Now, like you said, if Virginia does this and California does this, they are so much more likely to go. But Florida, Kansas, Ohio, Nebraska, Louisiana, you add them all up together, you got maybe 5 seats between them. Maybe 5. 5 seats after you take into consideration the 3. There's 8 seats. There's a maximum of 8 seats between them all.
Okay.
But they could be 3 up, Democrats. So then the Republicans will be up by 5. Maximum at the end of this. 5 seats is not much to overcome in the House. So that's the maximum damage they're facing. 5 seats. And possibly 2 or 1. Possibly. This update is, at the end of all this bullshitting around, they're pretty close to evens at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to make that much of a difference. So that's good news for 2026. Things change in 2030 when the next census rolls around and about 10 more seats get distributed to red states because of the population changes. The Democrats are going to have a real hard time of things from there on. We'll cover that in PEP when that happens.
I mean, and maybe I'll also just add the caveat that all of that assumes, Chaz, that the midterms proceed as normal, which is in my mind at least, that's still a very big if.
Yeah. No, it is. That's fair. That is absolutely fair. I do always make that assumption. You're right. And we should always put that disclaimer in. I'm actually going to refer to reasons later on in this app why that's not a given.
It's definitely not a given.
I mean, I should say my view is the midterms are going to happen, is my view, but whether they happen in an uncompromised way is the question.
Yeah. That's my instinct too, that they will likely happen, but how they happen and how much of a performance it is an open question.
Yeah. Okay. Enough updates. Why don't we get into the main topic of the week, which I've got like 12 different names flying around for this particular podcast because the ballroom thing just lends itself to names. Let's cover that first, shall we?
The reason we're looking so cute.
First of all, okay, let me ask you a question to begin. The size of this story, it's massive. It's a massive story. It feels to me like it's a little too big a story, given some of the other things going on. What's your view about that? Do you think it's too big, or do you think this, like, in your view, how upset are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I mean, I'm not particularly upset, I don't think, but I don't have an emotional attachment to the White House as the symbol of American democracy in the way that many Americans, I think, do for very understandable reasons.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think it is too big, Chaz, because it's like Trump said, we need a metaphor for what I'm doing. We need like a metaphor that punches you in the face. And I think people are responding to that accordingly. And so it's understandable that it's getting so much attention because it's so egregious. Like the way that he said initially that the ballroom wouldn't impact the East Wing at all. It would just be kind of sat alongside it. And then all of a sudden the East Wing is being demolished and quite clearly none of it is being protected either. Like they've just got wreckers in there destroying it. And so it's, of course, people are having an emotional reaction. And it's also, that he said it would just be the facade. And then the demolition seems to be creeping further and further into the East Wing. And so I think for that reason, it's not his house. He's allowed to live there, but it's the people's house. Built by slaves, it encompasses such an enormous amount of American history. But it's also, I think, an example of what Trump is doing more broadly writ large, like not necessarily in the metaphorical sense, in the break things sense.
Yeah.
Break things and move fast and break things. Because, clearly there's no legal basis for this. The National Trust is supposed to administer this. It's supposed to go through a whole process. They've asked the president to pause the demolition and go through the public consultation process. Lol. Bit late. This is what he's doing everywhere. It's what he's doing with the deployment of the National Guard. It's what he's doing with the way his mass deportations program is being enforced. It's what he's doing in Venezuela. He's so far ahead of a legal system that's not able to keep up with him. And he's wrecking things in the process. And this is such a striking visual representation of that, I think it's totally understandable that it is a big story because it's the meaning behind it is so much bigger.
That's fair enough. I think like we're going to go through quite a few of the things that you talked about there, which is good. But also, while we're talking generally, like from 30,000 feet, I'd also add I can understand why this upsets people a lot because his eye is not on the ball. Like they're in the middle of a shutdown at the moment. There are things he should be worrying about. He should be micromanaging renovations on the White House. That's not his job. He has a job and he's not doing it.
Yeah. So I saw a take. What do you reckon about this? I saw a take that said that this is part of some strategy to manage Trump is like internally is to give him this job. Like he's having weekly meetings about the ballroom, micromanaging the tiles and the colour scheme and that's just a way to distract him from the job that he should be doing that other people want to be doing for him, like Stephen Miller et al. In Venezuela and so forth. What do you reckon?
I reckon there's a lovely thought that Trump would be controllable enough to be able to do that too. I can see the theory. Yeah. It's a great theory, but I feel like working with Trump would be very reminiscent of that famous Mike Tyson quote, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
It does like punching people in the face.
Yes. Yeah, I always thought that was a great quote. And I think that's what working with Trump will be like. Everyone have a theory about, this is how you handle him. But the thing about Trump is that as dumb as he is about academic things, and he is really dumb when it comes to academics. He's not a stupid man.
No, God,
not
no.
at all.
Not.
Like, he's actually quite a wily, canny kind of character. And I know people like him, and they're infuriating because you keep thinking you're on top of them, but they're actually on top of you. And it's I can so see someone thinking, this is how you deal with him, and Trump would be totally across that they think they're controlling him, and he's dealing with them without them even realizing they're being dealt with. That's what I think. I don't think someone is controlling him like a dumb animal, going, oh yeah, we'll just keep him busy over there. I think he's keeping himself busy over there.
Yeah, well, he loves it.
Yeah, he genuinely loves that stuff. But yeah, at the same time, he's not doing his job, and I can see why that would really, really annoy people. Not just in the shutdown. There's other stuff going on. There's inflation, all the rest of it. You know, they elected him for inflation. Let's not kid ourselves. That's why he was elected, and inflation is happening, and he's doing nothing. I can see why people are upset about this. I mean, look, there are some ridiculous reactions. I've seen tweets saying the Ballroom is, quote, a wound to our national soul. I've seen...
That's a bit dramatic.
Yes. I've seen, like the Midas Touch was trying to run the line that this was some secret Russian thing. Like they were, they were comparing it to the St. Petersburg, what they call it, the Winter Palace. Have a look at that.
Yeah, right.
What I'm saying, for those who are listening and not looking... I'm saying that they both have white walls. I'm saying that they both have chandeliers. And I'm saying that they're both rooms. Those are the three things that they seem to have in common to me. But there's some silly reactions. I do think that this is a legitimate story. I just think I guess my take is just the volume is very loud. I feel like if you're screaming about every story at the top of your lungs, then you're highlighting nothing. And I feel like every single day we're screaming about some story. And usually you just have to scream about that story because it's awful. Yeah. But this is one where I said, oh, we have to scream about this one. Just say this one. Especially given everything else is happening at the moment. Right now, America is enmeshed in a potential war with Venezuela. Like 14% of the Navy is in the Caribbean at the moment. Yeah. The police state is encroaching further and further all the time. Yeah, Trump's taken over all the spending powers of Congress in the middle of a shutdown. And this is what we're focusing on. I don't want to be too dismissive because you're right. This is a metaphor for the entire administration.
Also, I'm not able to do set design for those topics.
That is true. That is true. No, I'm not faulting your set design at all, Lucky. You are,
but that's okay. I'm leaving.
Lucky is so depressed by my reaction to his wonderful work that he is going to go to jail for the next 2 months in America.
Stop saying that and Peppers. Too many comments.
And he loves MAGA. He loves MAGA.
I do.
He loves MAGA.
Are you going to the States, Lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah, on Friday.
Well, he's going to an American airport.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
What happens
we'll
after
see
that?
How much further he gets.
Who knows? Before I move on, let me just ask you one more question on this area. Do you think many of the people complaining could even pick the East Wing in a lineup? I say quite cynically.
I reckon a fair few of them could. Like the White House is, I mean, I don't think we have the same attachment to symbols in the way that Americans do.
That's
and
fair.
So I think a lot of them could. And also the White House isn't that big.
That's true.
If you go there, it's actually kind of underwhelming when you get there. That it's pretty small.
It's about to be bigger.
It's about to be so much bigger, Chaz. As I was looking at the square footage, like the White House is really small. I don't know what this means but it's 55,000 square feet, the White House.
Yep.
The Ballroom's going to be 90,000 square feet.
It's almost twice as big.
It's so much. It's so big. And Trump's hinting that he might make it bigger.
Yeah, they're talking about now making it a 1,350 seat rather than 999 seat.
So it's going to dwarf the entire building, which is the point.
And it's tall as well. It's not just wide. It's tall.
Yeah, and the I should say as well that the aesthetics of it are really important. The way Trump talks about classical architecture is a real aesthetics of fascism thing where you hark back to Greek and Roman classical architecture in that particular style, the same way that he's talking about the Trump arc and the way that he loves, French classical architecture in particular as well. It is kind of I read one great piece in Talking Points memo about how it's a dog whistle to white supremacists. Yeah. Like when Stephen Miller is talking about the builders of civilization and classical architecture, that's what he's talking about. And Trump is now imposing that on the White House for very specific reasons.
I was going to say that when Trump used the word classical, it's a bit like, there's a certain kind of character, certain kind of cliche character with a backwards ball cap. When they use the word classic, they don't mean an actual classic. They mean like classic. So it's also when they use the word legend. That's what Trump means when he says classical legend. He's looking at his big monstrosity going, classic. Let's break this down bit by bit. First of all, let's take away the actual design. Mm-hmm. Is it a good idea conceptually to have a ballroom? Because, I think it is.
Yeah, I think, if you remove all of the other stuff around it, the White House is too small and it's really old and falling apart. Like, it needs work, it needs constant updating, and I think it's perfectly legitimate to spend money on making it better and making it a better seat, from which to welcome dignitaries and hold those events where, even the state dinner that Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese went to with Joe Biden, like it looks kind of sad. Like they had it in a tent out in the Rose Garden.
Yes.
And I think Americans take some pride in that. That it's not regal. It's a place for an elected leader, not a king. But there's absolutely an argument for updating it. But there are ways to do that respect. Yeah,
absolutely. We'll get to the ways. I was just going to say that they're holding anything over with more than 200 people has to be in a tent.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, a foreign a first-rate foreign affairs function shouldn't resemble a music festival. There shouldn't be tents and porta potties. It's just. I agree. In fact, I'll give credit where it's due. Trump, I thought, explained quite well why there should be a ballroom. I'll play it.
But they've wanted it, and when they have big events, you entertain the president of China or the president of any place, and you have big crowds. They've always had to get a tent, and you've probably been to some of them, Bobby. When it rains, it's a disaster, and the tent's 100 yards. That's more than a football field away from the main entrance, and people are schlopping down to the tent. It's not a pretty sight. The women with their lovely evening gowns, all of their hair all done, and they're a mess by the time they get. And they've always wanted to have it.
It's quite vivid with his language.
Schlopping.
Yeah. I got to hand to him. He explained that quite well.
He did, and
quite persuasively.
You're right. That is right. That it's undignified.
Yeah, and apparently, like I know Trump says, they've been wanting this for 6,000 years since well before anyone even imagined the White House. Apparently, and quite seriously, I've seen Democrats saying that the Clinton administration wanted a ballroom. Like at the time, they said this is ridiculous. That's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that we've thrown them their bone. Let's start the proper process now. Okay. The White House is both public property and a national historical site, and you already touched on this. So what that means there are two groups of people who theoretically should be signing off.
Yeah.
The historical people and the public people, right? So you got the National Park Service is supposed to be in charge of all the federal areas, right? Especially when it's a historical public building. Commission of Fine Arts is also supposed to have a say in those kinds of areas. The National Trust for Historic Preservation is meant to have a say in historical areas. So you got all these groups overlapping for this kind of stuff, and a strict review process is required theoretically for all federal projects that might affect historical buildings, right? So you have your public scrutiny that you described, you got your legal obligations and so forth. Now the law says any structural changes for federal public buildings in the nation's capital should be approved by the National Capital Planning Commission as well. So that's another group. We should say there is an exemption in the law, which is Section 106, says that the National Historic Preservation Act exempts the Supreme Court building, the Capitol building, and several other properties from historic preservation rules that would otherwise apply. That's just historic preservation. There's still others. I could conceive it's possible that there may be a loophole that we didn't know about until people took advantage of it. That means that if this went to the Supreme Court, Trump would win.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I haven't looked at every single law on this. But I could conceive it's possible because there are at least some exemptions that are definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
I think in reality, the fact is that Trump has power to staff whatever the hell he wants to staff.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the biggest issue. Like if you take the National Capital Planning Commission, he's already completely stacked that with apparatchiks. So Will Schaaf is the head of the National Capital Planning Commission. He is the current staff secretary at the White House. He was one of Trump's legal team for the last 4 years. He said in September that no approval was necessary at all. He said as the head of the NCPC, because he said, wait for this, the commission's jurisdiction only covered construction, not demolition.
Oh.
He said they can demolish anything they like.
So they can just tear down the whole White House.
Yeah, and then they can leave it.
Yeah.
Or they can rebuild something.
Okay.
And he said we have no say when they demolish it, which to me sounds like bullshit. Yeah. Because if someone took him to court, you'd say, well, hang on, surely a demolition is part of the construction process.
Yeah. To
construct something, you need to demolish it. Yeah. So unless you intend to demolish it and not rebuild it,
which doesn't seem to be the plan.
No, it does not. Then I don't think that works. But either way, he's still in charge. And he's got those views, which means whatever they hand to the NCPC, they're going to say yes. So realistically, the law doesn't matter, unfortunately.
Does it ever?
I know. It's getting like that. But even if without the rush job, even if they went through step by step, he'd still get his way.
Yep.
He's made all kinds of supportive comments, Will Schaaf, about this process. He thinks this project's wonderful. And then the funding's not public as well, so Congress has no say because they're not using public funding.
Yeah, they don't. Okay, I thought they...
No, they usually have a say because of the funding.
Yeah,
they control the funding, but it's private funding, so the Congress has no say.
Yeah, okay.
It's against the law. It's clearly against the Anti-Deficiency Act that they're getting private funding. The Anti-Deficiency Act says that it's that the president, the executive, is not allowed to raise funds by themselves. Mm-hmm. They can only use funds for public projects from as apportioned by Congress, appropriated by Congress. Yeah, the NCPC. I got a quote here from Will Schaaf. Given the president's history as a builder and given the plans that we've seen publicly, I think this will be a tremendous addition to the White House complex, a sorely needed addition. I think any assertion that this commission should have been consulted earlier than it has been or it will be is simply false.
Tremendous.
Says the head of the NCPC. And by the way, they're not doing anything at the moment because of the shutdown.
Of course.
They don't exist. So he might get this thing built before the end of the shutdown. Who knows how long the shutdown's going to go. So there's that as well. Next question. Is this going to be a terrible eyesore? Because that's the next issue, the aesthetics of it all. Like this massive... Yeah. This massive building, this elephantine building. Oh what's your view?
I mean, I don't know how it's not going to be a massive eyesore. Yeah. Like when it dwarfs the White House, when it's literally, as you were saying, twice as big as the White House.
And twice as high.
Yeah, and is, in the Trumpian aesthetic, which is very particular and not to everyone's tastes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how it's not. I mean, it sounds like it will fit into that kind of classical architecture aesthetic of Washington. Classical. Which is kind of ridiculous. Like, if you've ever been to the front of the Supreme Court, like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's kind of overblown and grandiose, and is done very much in that kind of Greek, Roman classical style. So I think it will fit that. It will just be like a cheap version of it, as Trump, is wont to do. What do you reckon?
Well, see, I must admit, I'm the worst person to ask about this because I don't even look at the architecture. When I visit a new place, I'm looking at my phone until I get to the convenience store, and then I perk up. Yeah, so I really shouldn't even be consulted on this. But I wouldn't even consult myself. So I'll take people's word on that one. What I will say though is that even if it was the perfect ballroom, people would still hate it.
Oh, of course.
And I'm not even talking about Trump.
Yeah.
There's not even a Trump thing. Yeah. That's a White House thing.
Yeah.
People don't like change. When you look at the history of changes
Yeah.
at the White House, I've gone right here. Andrew Jackson, when he built the North Portico, too ostentatious. When Teddy Roosevelt built the West Wing, the Washington Post said Roosevelt's drive to modernize has destroyed the White House's historic value. When FDR built the East Wing, the actual building that we're crying about now, it was labeled a wasteful extravagance.
Mm-hmm.
When FDR expanded the West Wing, there were concerns about the cost. When Truman added the balcony, members of Congress accused him of defacing the people's house for personal comfort, with one Republican lawmaker saying the White House belongs to the American people, not the president's whims. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
It does.
And,
It's not wrong.
when Truman renovated the whole building, people were scandalized. So it feels like that's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Regardless, that's going to happen. But having said that, that's not me dismissing it, because I find it easy to believe it could be terrible. But I'm just saying that it's not something that really bothers me. Let's go to the other side again for a second. Is it true, the argument that the Republicans have been making? They go, why you guys are such a bunch of hypocrites. All presidents do this. All presidents renovate. Look at Obama. He put in his basketball court. Look, Nixon put in his bowling alley. All these presidents. What's your response to that?
I mean, they're such hypocrites. I don't think converting a tennis court to a basketball court is the same thing as demolishing the whole East Wing. Like, it's just not the same thing.
I agree. Literally, he just painted a couple of lines on a tennis court.
Like, it is. I mean, it feels silly, but the comparison. I mean, just how much stuff has shifted. Obama puts his feet on the Oval Office desk, and it's a controversy that runs for weeks. Trump demolishes the whole East Wing, and we're talking about how it's the same. We're not, but those comparisons are made that are just ridiculous.
And before anyone says it, I'm aware that Obama had $300 million worth of renovations at the White House. They were all functional renovations.
Yeah, and desperately needed. You
Yeah.
know, as we said, as you just pointed out, the last real renovation happened in 1942?
Yeah.
That's not a comfortable house to live in.
Yeah. Now we're talking like pipes. We're talking about
Yeah.
wiring. We're talking about like things that don't change how it looks in marked ways. And besides, those people went through the proper process.
Exactly.
Whether it's legal or not, there is such a thing as appropriate and proper. We seem to have lost the idea of what is reasonable and what is proper and what is decent. Like, the options seem to be, is it illegal? No. Well, then I can do it.
Yeah.
Is it illegal? Maybe barely not illegal? Great, I can do it. No. No. How about, is it the decent thing to do? And the other presidents went through a proper... They might not have had to, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with something that's not yours, that belongs to all the people, to be consultative. It's just a nice thing. Even if it's not legally mandated, it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to another point that you raised, which I think is worth... I'm going to throw some clips at you and then see what you think about this. The idea of Trump lying about not demolishing any buildings. That's something that's been talked about quite a lot. All right, this is what Trump said when he first announced the building.
It'll be built over on the east side, and it will be beautiful. It'll be views of the Washington Monument. It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it.
So that's a fair distance from I'm going to knock the entire East Wing down. And by the way, now he says of the East Wing, it was never thought of as being much. To be fair, though, he is actually, even now that the demolition is happening, and there's no doubt the demolition is happening. It's very public. This is what he's saying.
The way it was shown, it looked like we were touching the White House. We don't touch the White House. That's a bridge, a glass bridge, going from the White House to the ballroom. Then you get into the lobby of the ballroom, and then you go into the magnificent, the main room.
You might not appreciate the subtle point I'm making there, which is he's still talking about the building like it's just the main part of the White House. I don't think he thinks of the East Wing as part of the building.
Yeah.
When he's saying, I don't think I honestly don't think he's trying to be tricky. I think that just in his head, he sees the main building and then there's a bunch of shit which I can do whatever I like with.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't think he's intentionally misleading people. But am I being too generous?
No, I mean, I think on the basis of that clip, usually when he's being deliberately deceitful, you can see it in his facial expression or the tone of his voice. But he sounded like he was being genuine there. My first thought was, has he just not seen? Has he not gone outside? Does he think they haven't actually demolished it?
A big thing to miss.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I don't think he was trying to deceive. Maybe that's genuinely what he thinks, that's not, that the wings aren't part of it.
And I have slightly more evidence as well for this, which is people have been asking about whether he was fully transparent about knocking down the building. And were you transparent about these operations? And he seemed to get quite stroppy about that. I'll play you what he said, and then I'll show you something else after it to show you what I mean.
Your response to people who say that you haven't been transparent enough about this?
I haven't been transparent?
That some of your
Really?
colleagues feel it should
I've
have gone for a
shown
review.
this to everybody that would listen. Third-rate reporters didn't see it because they didn't look. You're a third-rate reporter, always have been. So third-rate reporters didn't look, but anybody that asked, these pictures have been in newspapers. They've been all over the place, and we're very proud of it. It's gotten great reviews. It's gotten really great reviews. So I think we've been more transparent than anybody's ever been.
I'm not sure I'm more transparent than anyone's ever been, but I think he absolutely is telling the truth on this. He has been talking about it to anyone who will listen. He has been showing those pictures in a really boring way to every dignitary that shows up.
He showed Anthony Albanese, the little model.
The little model, exactly. Let's look at the pictures that he's been trying to show everyone. That he held a press conference to announce back in July, and he's been so dreary about it. Let's look at the picture. Okay, so on the left there, you can see the main building. Then you can see the walkway to the right, and then you see the ballroom. Where's the east wing? It's not there.
It's not there.
No, no. Their original picture, this is from July, their original picture of what they were going to do has this monstrous, massive ballroom replacing the east wing. It was always the plan, and they were very public about it. I think in Trump's mind, he was really proud of it. He thought it was fucking awesome.
And he just thinks the main building...
That's why I genuinely think that's what's going on. Now, having said that, once again, a little pivot. Just for once, I think this is one where the rest of the White House is working at slightly odds to the president, where they're managing him a little bit, which is, I think he thinks that it's all above board and it's all brilliant and it's all wonderful. But I think Carolyn Levitt, she's, I think, a bit more with it. And she, I think, knew it was a problem. When you look at what she said on the 31st of July, when all the announcements were happening, it was different to what Trump was saying. It was accurate. As is often the case with her, it was technically accurate, yet it was definitely intentionally misleading in a way that I don't think Trump was being.
The White House ballroom will be substantially separated from the main building of the White House, but at the same time, its theme and architectural heritage will be almost identical. The site of the new ballroom will be where the small, heavily changed and reconstructed East Wing currently sits. I have provided some photos for all of you in the room today. This is the interior of the ballroom space. It's quite beautiful. And then this is the exterior of the ballroom space. As you can see, it will come off of the executive mansion as it sits today, and the East Wing will be modernized and renovated.
How much of the East Wing will be torn down? The entire East Wing or just parts of it?
So the East Wing is going to be modernized. The necessary construction will take place, and for those who are housed in the East Wing, including the Office of the First Lady, the White House Military Office, the White House Visitors Offices, those offices will be temporarily relocated while the East Wing is being modernized.
Yeah, so I'm in no doubt that she was trying to mislead people, while at the same time not explicitly lying. It clearly wasn't effective because that journalist, what did the journalist ask? Are you tearing down part of it or all of it? Like the journalist wasn't buying it for a second. Yeah. But I have to say, not reported well by the media at the time.
Yeah.
That wasn't the tone of the coverage. The tone
of other stuff was happening.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. The tone of the coverage was that Levitt had specifically said nothing is going to get torn down. I could run you through a bunch of articles saying that. She never said that. And the proof of that is that the AP has run a correction now like months later, now the thing's been torn down, saying that Levitt never said that nothing would be torn down. It was actually a reporter who said that. If people were concerned about it being torn down, like the pieces were there. The journalists knew in the room it was going to get torn down. Yeah. Trump wasn't even hiding it, even though he was using imprecise language that would have been tough for people to work out. But there was enough evidence there for them to make this huge hullabaloo back in July.
Before, yeah.
And they didn't. They did the direct opposite, and now they're correcting it. Yeah. Right, so I did just want to flag that there on that. I think also just the fact that those photos were out there and Trump was just going on about this endlessly and no one cared. It just shows how much we assume Trump is talking shit, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Like we just go, oh yeah, whatever, mate. yeah. Ballroom. Yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be the greatest anyone's ever seen. Yeah, ballroom, fantastic, wonderful. And we just move on because we just assume he's just talking crap. And then all of a sudden we wake up and there's an excavator hitting the in the building. Go, where'd that come from? And Trump's like, I've been saying this for a very long time, and he's been ignoring me. So it does say something about his presidency, and that's not a healthy thing that it says. We've dealt with a whole bunch of areas. Well, one area we haven't talked about is the ethics of this, the taxpayers' money versus the bribery aspect.
Yeah,
which to me is the big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what's your view on the saving the taxpayers' money element? Because the Republicans, they're saying, look, Obama costs $300 million. This has been privately funded for $300 million. We're saving money. You should be happy. Why aren't people celebrating Trump saving money, saving the taxpayers' money?
Again, it's a very ostensibly common sense argument that is deliberately made, hard to refute, I think. But sure, I guess it's saving the taxpayers' money. There are other ways to do that. And also the bigger ethical question is, what are these funders getting in return for financing Trump's big, beautiful ballroom? And there's not necessarily a straightforward answer to that because I don't think it's ever a direct, you give me money, I'll do this for you. I mean, sometimes it probably is with Trump, but I don't think in this particular case. But it's about access and it's about power and it's about influence. And that's been an issue with Trump the whole time. And I think particularly American billionaires have seen an opportunity to influence and get closer to power, and they're taking it. And of course they're taking it. That's not surprising in any way. But it is compounding, I think, that sense of distrust and a sense of corruption, even if that's, it's not necessarily that straightforward because we don't have the evidence. We don't know. But of course it's ethically dubious, but I mean the whole Trump presidency is ethically dubious, Chaz. Yeah. What do you reckon? I think you're right. It's the biggest story.
Yeah. No, I agree pretty much exactly what you said, word for word. I could repeat it, but what's the point? Did very well. Well, what I will do is I'll offer that list of donations. You've got a whole list of the usual suspects here. You got Amazon, Apple, Caterpillar, Google, Lockheed Martin, Meta, Microsoft, Palantir, T-Mobile. They donate to everything. Yeah. Got a heap of crypto dudes there. You got big donors, like these standard donors like Harold Hamm and Steve Schwartzman. You've got appointees like Lutnick and Loeffler. I assume they don't want anything, but yeah, everyone else, who knows?
Yeah, Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's fine.
If you can't trust those guys, who can you trust? Yeah, it'd probably be a bigger issue if Trump was extorting donations from the same people in 100 different ways. But as you say, they just keep on giving, don't they? And by the way, we don't know the full list. They say that's the list.
Yeah.
But who knows?
No, we don't know.
There could be more. But if there isn't, it averages out $8 million a donation. People see a big long list of names, they go, oh, whatever, it's not much. But they're talking $300 million when you add them up.
Yeah.
Someone's giving a lot of money, if not all of them. I think it's a big concern. That's the kind of thing that worries me. All right, one more talking point which I want to put to you. This is a Democratic talking point now. The Bulwark's JV Last has written an article which has gotten a lot of people talking. Trump's transformation of the People's House into a presidential palace is undemocratic. Presidents are not kings. Erasing this monstrosity is a fundamental statement about the right ordering of our project in self-government. If you leave monuments to authoritarians standing, then you encourage resistance from the out-of-power revanchists and future strongmen who believe they can permanently mark history. Undoing your authoritarian project is not a distraction. It's the single most important job of the next democratic administration. Undoing the authoritarian project will be incredibly hard when it comes to salvaging the Department of Justice, dissolving ICE, reallocating DHS functions to more professionalised forces, making the District of Columbia a state, and reforming the Supreme Court. The authoritarians are counting on this being difficult. They believe that the ratchet turns only one way, that they can do what they will, and even in the unlikely event they're turned out of office this time, they can come storming back to finish the job. It is maximally important to demonstrate, both the authoritarians and to those who oppose them, that the ratchet can go in reverse. The authoritarian gains are not permanent, that liberal society has the will to undo their grotesqueries. We should demolish this on day one.
I mean...
In 2029, should they tear down the ballroom, the Democrats, if they take over?
I mean, that's a big if, Chaz. Like, we're getting pretty far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Americans have historically seen this as important. You know, that immediately brought to mind the tearing down of the statue of Saddam Hussein, right? So clearly that kind of symbolism is important, and I guess it would certainly be cathartic for Americans in that sense, and I think it would probably be symbolically important as well. I don't know what you think, but I don't think it's necessarily likely. Like, I don't think that would be in, you know, if we like in the 6th or 7th if in this scenario, you know, if Democrats are in power, then it's unlikely that that's going to be the priority, or nor should it be the priority. You know, all of the other things in that list about undoing the authoritarian project are probably much higher up in that term in terms of those priorities. But I mean, that's kind of Trump's aim, isn't it? Like the point of all of this is for him to make his indelible mark on the United States as, you know, a king, if not in name, in effect. And so, you know, yeah, maybe undoing that symbolically is important, but I think it's also getting pretty dramatically ahead of the game.
Certainly is. I mean, I agree that dismantling of the authoritarian project is critical. I think that this is probably number 794 in that list of items to dismantle. I also think an excessive obsession with symbolism at the expense of practicality and trolling your opponents is the heart of Trumpism.
It's so American.
Yeah. Well, sadly, it's becoming very American. And I don't think Democrats should take on those characteristics. I think that's you becoming what you oppose. That's the old look into the dark soul and becoming dark yourself kind of thing. Way back in 2016, when people asked me about Trump, I said he's not going to it's not going to create a nuclear war, and that's what people were talking about at the time when he first got elected. So it's not going to be a nuclear war. My fear at the time was that presidents influence the national character a lot, and I feared that Trump was going to make everyone dumber. And I feel justified and vindicated in that fear. I think he has made everyone dumber. I think, yeah. And I think we should fight that wherever possible. And I mean, that's part of what this podcast is about, trying to fight the dumb. And I think that that's a dumb response. I think that, oh yeah, you want that? Well, we're going to tear it down. Ah! Like, I just think, no, they need a ballroom. Like, let them have a ballroom. Okay, if you're worried about the symbolism, change the name, because they're going to call it the Donald J. Trump Ballroom, right? Yeah. Change the name. Get rid of the gold. Get give it a once over if you want, but don't get rid of a ballroom that you actually need. Don't cover your nose and spot your face. Like, if you want to make it slightly smaller, sure. If it's 1,350 seats, you can do things to it, and you know what? If they do anything to it, they're going to get the satisfaction of Republicans going, oh, no, because that's the way this works. It's just all or nothing for everyone. But yeah, I don't think it would help the country to make a big part of the first 6 months of your presidency tearing down a brand new building unnecessarily just to make a point. That's what I reckon.
I think that's fair.
90,000 square feet. It's a hell of a basketball court. I'd still call it a ballroom.
That's true. Why don't you tell me about what's been happening in the last few days with this minerals deal? Because I know a little bit about this story, but not much. It just seems interesting to me. So I'm interested in what you have to say.
Yeah, so Trump's on this tour of Southeast Asia. So he's been in Malaysia, he's in Japan, I'm pretty sure, at the time we're recording. I hate time zones so much. And he's then heading to South Korea for the APEC summit where he's going to meet Xi. And the theme of all of this has been critical minerals deals. So, and that was kind of kicked off. I know you talked about the deal that he struck with Anthony Albanese, which is like $8.5 billion US deal. But he's also since then struck agreements, a critical minerals agreement with Malaysia as well. We don't know, surprise, we don't know much about it. We don't have a lot of detail. So Malaysia, it seems more like Malaysia has committed not to do something.
Are we not special anymore?
We're not special.
Oh, Emma.
We never were.
Oh, he said we were his only deal.
Yeah, and it could be about to get a lot worse as well, our lack of specialness. So he's signed this critical minerals deal with Malaysia. There's some other kind of reciprocal framework agreements. International relations use such ridiculous language. What is a framework agreement? Anyway.
So you send the Malaysia one, they're not doing something.
So Malaysia has, and I'm quoting here, committed to refrain from banning or imposing quotas on exports to the United States of critical minerals or rare earth elements.
It's like an IQ test. Committing to
so they're
not
committing
banning.
to not doing something.
Yeah, okay.
Like they will keep supplying stuff to the United States. Nobody's specified if Malaysia has actually agreed to supply raw rare earths to the United States.
But they won't not.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Important.
Yeah, so there's that one. And then Trump has just been in Japan as well, meeting with the new Prime Minister there. And in about the hour before we started recording, they also announced that they have signed a framework agreement on critical minerals. So the United States and Japan also have one. So less special, again, for Australia.
So Japan mine rare earths as well, does it?
No. So this is the devil is in the detail again, Jazz. So they have agreed to, again, I'm quoting, support the supply of raw and processed critical minerals and rare earths crucial to the domestic industries of the United States and Japan.
Okay.
So there will be some level of coordination on the import of those rare earths and critical minerals, perhaps from Australia, perhaps from Malaysia. We don't really know.
What was the other country?
Thailand. Yes, I believe so. Again, no detail, no real detail.
Okay, so we've got no idea.
And this is what Trump does, isn't it? You know, he announces a big deal, turns out nobody's actually thought it through.
Whatever they're giving up, which is not clear, what are they getting? Do we know what America is giving up for any of these unclear deals?
Well, so in Japan, Trump has said that, I can't remember the exact quote, but, you know, the United States is 100% with Japan. And I think there's been an appetite, particularly with the new conservative leader in Japan, to shore up the security alliance between Japan and the United States. And there was a lot made of it. You know, Trump made an address from the USS George Washington, the most US troops stationed abroad in Japan. So they're, you know, interested in shoring up that relationship. But that also, of course, brings in the question of China, because Trump is about to meet Xi and is talking up a big deal that he's going to sign with China. But a deal that he's just signed with Japan complicates that somewhat, because I don't know if you know this, but Japan and China have a somewhat complicated relationship.
They do.
When it comes to security. So all this is leading up to this meeting with Trump and Xi in South Korea, which Trump has been forward sizzling. You know, there's going to be a huge deal. The Chinese haven't even confirmed that a meeting is going ahead, which is their style. They do that often. I suspect it will go ahead. But there is noise that there may be some kind of carve out of those bans or reductions in exports of critical minerals and rare earths to the United States, which is part of what's kicked, as you discussed, part of what's kicked all this off in the first place. We don't actually know what that will be, and I suspect the Chinese government won't be giving up much in terms of power to the Trump administration. But if there is a critical minerals carve-out or supply resumes in a way that the Trump administration deems satisfactory, then there's a fair chance that that critical minerals deal that Australia has with the United States, where we're not special, becomes less of a priority, becomes less urgent. And of course, that deal, and you probably talked about this already, is relying on something like $5 billion of private investment to magically appear. And we don't know where that's going to come from or how that's going to happen. And if it's not a priority of the United States to do that co-investment that Trump has promised because of a deal with China, then, potentially it all falls apart.
I'm guessing where that comes from is JP Morgan. Because JP Morgan announced, we talked about this on PEP last week, announced 2 weeks ago that they were going to invest trillions of dollars into shoring up supply shortage areas. And so if Australia needs a bit of money to shore up some a rare earth shortage that America has access to, that sounds like the perfect thing for JP Morgan to invest in. So
that a little pitch.
That'd be my guess. I mean, hey, I'm not going to fly over to America. Lucky, can you do a meeting with no problems. Whatever the old mate's called, I forgot his name.
When Christy Gnomes got me, I'll ask her to forward the message.
We'll give Daddy whatever he wants. We'll change our environmental laws so that you can dig up whatever you want.
That is not a sentence I am saying on the microphone.
I'm only going from the information you've just given us.
Which is not much, I fully admit. There's not much available.
It's not your fault. My guess is maybe countries like Japan might help Australia with the refining of the ores that we dig up.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. And that's always been a roadblock to the industry in Australia, is that refining process. So, I think that's certainly possible. And Australia already has a significant, energy trading relationship with Japan, one that's pretty problematic in terms of what Australia gets out of it. But, it would very much fit into that pattern and would be, I think, very appealing to the Japanese government, but also the Trump administration, which is interested in shoring up these kind of bilateral individual relationships at the expense of anything really collective.
This is all dependent on what gets announced next week with China. They're also talking up this solving the soybean issue as well. Yeah, we'll see. And look, I mean, they're really talking this up. So you'd think they've got something agreed to.
I think they do. I think they're going to let Trump announce something and take credit for a deal.
Because that would be really, really stupid for them to be building up this much if they've got nothing.
Well, Trump's basically said, hasn't he? We're going to have a deal.
Yeah. But subject to that, if they didn't have a big announcement, like a real big announcement coming with China, like just to go back to what I said before about how Trump isn't negotiating with the shutdown. He's sacking people and stopping infrastructure spending, but he's not solving it. He's not fixing the health insurance issue that the Democrats have made an issue. He doesn't mention domestic issues at all these days, really. He's only focused on renovating his house and trying to win a Nobel Peace Prize. And he's been in Israel, and that's not looking real good right now, to be honest. He spent tens of billions on Argentina while his farmers are struggling. And he's trying to start a war in Venezuela. And now he's over in Asia making deals that no one understands. At some point in time, that's going to start pissing people off, doesn't it? He's not doing anything.
I think it's already pissing people off, isn't it? Like he's underwater in all of his approval ratings. So I think people are pissed off. And I think there are also, in so much of what you said there, Chaz, there are kind of sleeper crises that are building as well. So the soybeans that you mentioned, that's had a huge impact on American farmers because they've lost their markets for soybeans. At the same time that because of a shutdown, SNAP benefits are disappearing. So
42 million
people can't buy commodities. They're not buying milk in the way that they were. They're not buying meat. And so there's a sleeper crisis in American agriculture that is developing. Alongside, unrest, no, that's not the right word, alongside the disruption and the damage that Trump is doing in Latin America, which is going to cause, of course, is going to cause blowback and, you know, all of the impacts of his trade wars as well, you know, that you mentioned earlier, shipping tariffs and bans on shipping, which is having a huge effect on American importers leading into the holiday season as well. They've just had Halloween, they're about to have Thanksgiving, they're about to have Christmas, and stuff is really expensive or you can't get it. And people are noticing. They're really noticing. I was talking to as well, you mentioned healthcare. I was talking to a colleague in the States, and she was saying that some of those healthcare costs increases because of, you know, this whole thing that's kicked off the shutdown will be, for some people, it's going to be $200-300 a month increase in their health insurance costs. That is so much money when you're already in a very precarious, insecure economic environment. To be facing those kind of increases around the holiday season, of course people are going to be pissed off. The question is who they blame for it, though. That
is true. And by the way, when you said $200-300 a month, that's if they're lucky.
Yeah.
Because some people it's going to be a lot more. Like for a lot of them, they're tripling their health insurance premium.
It's wild.
Yeah. You know, anything else on this area? I know it's a bit early in terms of like the detail, but is there anything else in this area you want to mention?
No, I think it's just, you know, my advice is always to treat any of those announcements with skepticism. Like there's so much about how Trump is solving the China problem. We're going to have this big deal and it's going to solve all the problems. That's not what's going to happen. There will be an announcement. Like I'm sure it seems like there will be some kind of deal, but I think that Xi Jinping will, you know, play this particularly well. He'll let Trump have that victory and still hold much of the power, because Trump is not good at details. Like he wants the Nobel Peace Prize, he wants the bid for television. So I'm sure Peppers already treat those kinds of announcements with the skepticism they deserve, but it's worth emphasising, I think.
I'm pretty excited, Emma. We got a very special new moment on the pod, and I'm glad you could be here for it. It's a very special moment whenever we reveal a new sting.
Oh, yes.
And we have a very special new sting from Dan. Thank you, Dan. We put out the call, and Dan responded with...
This is not normal.
This is not normal. Is a segment that I think we're going to be doing a lot from now on. I think it's going to be almost weekly. Because every single week something happens where I just go, I don't know where to fit this in. Because this is not a big story in itself. This is really bad. And it's just not normal. and so now I've got an area to put it. This is not normal. I want to introduce you to a very handsome fellow, Changpeng Zhao. There's Changpeng Zhao. He's the founder and CEO of the largest crypto exchange in the world. It's called Binance. He's worth $85 billion, Emma.
That's a lot of billions.
It's a lot of billions. He's the single richest person in the crypto world right now. If he's not in the top 20 richest people in the world, he's damn close. In November 2023, he and Binance pled guilty to violating American anti-money laundering laws. Basically, they didn't bother to set up an anti-money laundering program for their exchange, for their crypto exchange. And you just go, yeah, I reckon you need to worry about that. Their logic was, why bother? It's only going to cost us money. Who cares? Well, the American government cared. He was hit with 4 months jail, and Binance was hit with a $4.3 billion fine, and Binance was banned from operating in America forever. While that sounds harsh, he got off lightly because at the time, the news reported it as a sweetheart deal. Because Janet Yellen, who was the Treasury Secretary at the time, said Binance had allowed illicit actors to transact freely, supporting activities from child sexual abuse to illegal narcotics to terrorism. He basically allowed the funding of ISIS, Hamas's military wing, North Korea, child sexual abuse, you name it. They're all funding out of Binance, and prosecutors were seeking at least 3 years jail. And that's what they got. They got 4 months, and they got a fine, which was nothing, $4 billion compared to the money they pumped out. Still, for the last year, Binance has been pursuing a pardon vociferously, even though the guy served his time. He served his time ages ago. But he wants a pardon because he wants to reverse the bit about not being able to operate in America, because that's where the money is. Right, and he got it pardoned. He got it from Trump, and he tweeted out, "Deeply grateful for today's pardon and to President Trump for upholding America's commitment to fairness, innovation, and justice." Yeah. "We'll do everything we can to help make America the capital of crypto and advance Web3 worldwide." Yeah. About that fairness, innovation, and justice, let's talk a little bit about that. I'll tell you a little bit more about that after I note that, coincidentally, a Securities and Exchange Commission lawsuit accusing Binance of lying to the agency about its operation in the United States also mysteriously just dropped off the mantle of reality in May. Just disappeared into another universe. I'm sure there's no connection between the two. Why does Trump say he pardoned him? That's the first question. Apparently, Biden was waging a war on crypto.
Yep.
And he was persecuting poor Zhao. So Trump did what any decent person would do and end that war on crypto.
The founder of Binance. Can you explain why you chose to pardon him, and did it have anything to do with his involvement in your
Which one?
family's?
Who is that?
The founder of Binance. He has an involvement in your own family's crypto
one,
business.
yes. I believe we're talking about the same person because I do pardon a lot of people. I don't know. He was recommended by a lot of people. A lot of people say that. Are you talking about the crypto person? A lot of people say that he wasn't guilty of anything. He served 4 months in jail, and they say that he was not guilty of anything. That what he did, well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You fake news. But let me just tell you that he was somebody that, as I was told, I don't know him. I don't believe I've ever met him. But I've been told by a lot of support. He had a lot of support. And they said that what he did is not even a crime. It wasn't a crime, that he was persecuted by the Biden administration. And so I gave him a pardon at the request of a lot of very good people.
Okay, so look, maybe all those people saying that Zhao should be pardoned, that
Lots
he's been
of people
speaking
do
to.
say that.
Apparently, that's what I hear. And those people who said he hasn't done anything wrong, maybe those are the Trump associates that Binance has hired and has paid handsomely over the last few years. I don't know.
Could be.
So let's talk about something I'm sure that's not on Trump's mind at all, which is what Zhao has done for Trump. He's done a bit for Trump. Just good mates. Binance has been a key supporter of Trump's decentralized finance platform, World Liberty Financial. The Trump family now own 38% of World Liberty Financial, but they did own 75% at one point. They've been selling off a bit recently. Bit of cashing out, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that's the main reason why Trump's net worth has risen from $2.6 billion in March 2024 to $7.1 billion today. It's a lot of cashing out. This is all without Trump investing 1 cent in World Liberty Financial. It's not a bad investment. It's not a bad return rate.
Yeah, nothing sus.
Yeah, $5 billion to zero. Binance's help has been one of the main drivers of growth of World Liberty Financial, of their cryptocurrency, USD1. Binance accepted a fairly shady payment from an Abu Dhabi company called MDX or something, MGX, I think. It was worth $2 billion, this investment. And it was entirely in USD1, which helped kickstart their cryptocurrency, right? Binance has also incentivized trading in USD1 generally across all their platforms. And they've got a lot of platforms. It's the biggest crypto exchange in the world. Binance also supplied World Liberty Financial with a trading platform called PancakeSwap, which they administer themselves for World Liberty Financial, which is nice of them. And World Liberty Financial has made over $4.5 billion since the 2024 election, thanks to that effort. So that's very handy. In fact, according to Bloomberg, Binance wrote the basic code to power USD1 to begin with. There are also talks that if Binance does return to America, apparently they're negotiating right now, Trump family members might take a financial stake in the US arm of Binance. Isn't that nice? No conflicts of interest in that negotiation, of course. That's just by and by. It's a good thing that the Trump family is so talented that they can end up in places like this, and it's not controversy, because they're just so good. The way I've heard that apparently Barron Trump is going to be on the board of TikTok. This 19-year-old. Because he's just so talented. He's just so talented. That's the thing. He and the rest of the family are talented like Hunter Biden was talented. Except for 1,000 times as much talent. That's the only difference. So much talent, Emma.
Such lucrative talent.
Yes. Billions of dollars worth of talent. Anyway, fair to say Changpeng Zhao has been very helpful to Donald Trump. So I wanted to introduce you to him because, he's made out quite well. Any thoughts about that?
I mean, none of it's particularly surprising.
No, it's not surprising. No.
Trump, Trump has long courted the Bitcoin bros and the crypto bros and that particular part of libertarian politics in the United States, as you well know.
Nice.
So this is sending a very clear message to them.
It is, isn't it?
Well,
it is.
One that I'm sure they are listening to.
Yeah, the message is we've got a lot of talent. And you know what? We, the Trumps, have more talent to spare if you want to avail yourself of some of that talent. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's nice. I'll tell you what else it is, though.
This is not normal.
No, it's not. And let's not forget that. This is not normal. You want to talk about Jamaica.
I do.
I've read nothing about this, so I want to know all about it. Tell me all about it.
And I will, forgive me, I'll talk about Venezuela a little bit too.
No, absolutely, go for it.
So this story drew my attention for a number of reasons, but Jamaica is facing the worst hurricane it's ever faced since records began.
That'll be a serious hurricane in that area.
It's very serious. Yeah. So Hurricane Melissa is already the strongest storm on the planet this year.
Yep.
And one of the most intense hurricanes ever recorded in the Atlantic Ocean. This is not normal.
Should I play again?
It's a Category 5, winds of 175 to 190 miles per hour, which Google tells me is somewhere around 300 k's an hour. So catastrophic. Storm surges of up to 4 meters, which in low-lying islands is pretty dangerous.
Are these projections or is this happening now?
These are projections.
Okay, yeah, just checking. Yeah.
So it may be happening right now as we're recording. It was about to make landfall as I was prepping.
Yep.
Will also hit Cuba and the Bahamas. It's already killed 3 people in Haiti, 3 in Jamaica, and 1 in the Dominican Republic.
Yep.
So this, of course, hurricanes hit this region all of the time, but this is not normal. This is one of the worst ones ever. And of course, because of climate change, there will keep being the worst ones ever. But I guess the reason I wanted to talk about it was because of the way it highlights the compounding crisis that the Trump administration is particularly causing in Central America and Latin America, because of course, as you mentioned, Venezuela.
Yep.
And there is a very large naval presence.
14% of the entire Navy.
Yeah, I had not heard that statistic. And 8 warships now hanging around as this worst hurricane is hitting Jamaica.
There's literally, sorry to interrupt, literally, for the first time in, I don't remember how many years, because it's just off the top of my head, I think it might be 50 years. It's a long time. First time for decades and decades and decades, there hasn't been an aircraft carrier in the Middle East because they sent them all to the Caribbean. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And I was reading a story in I think it was the Washington Post today, questioning whether they would move them, because of course all of those Marines are also trained in disaster relief.
Of course, yeah.
And, so whether they'll move them to help Jamaica. And there were some quotes in there from State Department officials kind of basically saying, nah, we're not going to do that. It was that kind of common sense language approach saying, that we will if there's a call for help and if it's in the United States' interests to respond. So, that's a way of saying I don't think we're going to see Trump throwing paper towels as he did once. But that crisis is compounding further because, of course, the Trump administration has also dismantled US AID. So there's no foreign aid. State Department can't really provide any aid. And when we're talking about one of the worst hurricanes or the worst hurricane in Jamaican history, what are the consequences of that going to be? And, of course, that's not isolated when we're talking about climate-induced disaster that forces people to move because their houses have been destroyed. So it forces migration at the same time that Trump is actively, can we say, pursuing regime change in Venezuela? I think we can say that. Like,
it's close enough.
Yeah. And causing...
we can. Yeah,
I
he just
think so.
is. He just is. Whether he's pursuing it militarily at this point in time, that is the open question.
Yeah.
But he's definitely pursuing regime change.
Yeah, well, he's authorised the CIA to engage in covert operations. So he's pursuing regime change, which causes destabilization, which also causes the movement of people.
And Venezuela already was the biggest provider of refugees in the world.
There you go.
Yeah.
At the same time that he's propping up right-wing governments in places like Argentina, which also contribute to the movement of people. And so we have this compounding crisis where you have the forced movement of people, often caused by American policies, which of course is not new. Like, as in many things, Trump is still a prisoner of American history, just does it in a more extreme way. And so you have this kind of cycle building, I think. And then that also reinforces the narrative of the Trump administration about a quote-unquote invasion, which feeds right into Stephen Miller's narrative, which allows for further crackdowns, which, builds further ICE recruitment. And so we have this kind of vicious cycle continuing that is being made quite deliberately worse by a Trump administration that is dismantling USAID, withdrawing the kind of support that the world has been used to, which has been uneven and deeply imperfect, but made a difference. And so I think this is one of, we were talking before about the slow crises that Trump is creating. And I think this is yet another one.
Steve Miller would probably call that positive reinforcement.
Sure.
Just to explain to people who might be wondering, you mentioned USAID a few times then. They might be wondering, well, hang on. Okay, so USAID isn't there anymore, but they can still spend the money. If they have, if they got the billions and the people need the food, they can pay for the food. Yeah, need USAID there, but actually, you kind of do because someone's got to be between the cash and the food. Someone's got to know where to buy the food, what kind of food, how you deliver it, where you deliver it, who you work with. Like, these are all these technocratic type decisions. They're not easy to make. And USAID had been doing it for decades. And if you are reinventing the wheel, which you would need to if you're going to do this, you're going to waste a lot of money.
Yeah.
And you may well not even hit the people you're trying to hit. What you're doing potentially is setting up corrupt governments to make a killing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so actually, it makes a huge difference not having USAID in the picture. Like, this was always going to be the case. As soon as the very first emergency was going to be much worse dealt with because USAID was not there. So yeah, so it actually does make a difference, and a significant difference.
Yeah, it does. And the other thing I didn't even mention there was, Trump has said that he wants to abolish FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Which is the same issue.
It's the same issue. And also, all those people in the weather service and climate forecasting, all of that expertise is gone. So actually even predicting the path and, ferocity of hurricanes becomes more difficult. And so you have, again, that compounding crisis, that loss of expertise, and people die as a direct result of that, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah, they people die, and you will never find out who those people were. Yeah, which is quite depressing.
It is. So. Bruce Wolpe at the US Study Centre called me Madam Doom when I spoke to him. So I'm really sorry.
That's okay.
That's my vibe.
I'm a little bit disappointed in you that you couldn't find the ray of sunshine in the worst hurricane of all time in the Jamaican region.
I'll try harder next time.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. My next section here, I am going to. I want to recruit you here, Emma, to be our judge. Be Judge Emma.
Oh, great! I'm so judgy.
I wish we had a wig for you, but you just have to pretend. Okay. We've talked about a few of them on Play America. There have been a lot of episodes in the last few weeks where texts have come out or unfortunate things that people have said in the past have been leaked and have potentially cost jobs, potentially, maybe not. There've been ethical considerations. And I figured it'd be nice to just get them all together, just go through them one by one and see what your thoughts are on these. You can rejudge these people. We can first of all just judge straight off what they said and why we think a certain reaction should be, and then we can look at the reaction and we can judge the reaction. That's 2 judgments for the price of 1. That's great. Judgy Emma really loving it. Okay, so let's start off with the guy we referred to way back at the beginning of the podcast because of a Trump grab, Jay Jones. Now, Jay Jones is running for Attorney General in Virginia. He is up for election next week. Right now, not looking good. Let me tell you why. In August 2022, Virginia politicians were mourning the death of a moderate state legislator, Joe Johnson Jr. The Republican Speaker of the State House, Todd Gilbert, made some nice comments about Joe Johnson Jr. And Jay Jones sent a bunch of smart-ass texts about it, all to a former State House colleague by the name of Carrie Coyner, who is a Republican, I might add. He's a Democrat. Apparently, he didn't mean to send those texts to Carrie Coyner because he at one point wrote, "Damn, that was for Mark." But then he kept texting anyway, wondering what that POS Gilbert would say about me if I died. We have some of those texts now, so let's read them. If those guys die before me, is Jay Jones. If those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves. Send them out a wash in something. And Coyner replies, Jay Jones. He says, 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know and he receives both bullets every time. Jay, please stop. Lol. Okay. It really bothers me when you talk about hurting people or wishing death on them. It isn't okay, no matter who they are. Then, according to Coyner, he rang her to carry on with the conversation. And he told her the only way public policy changes is when policymakers feel pain themselves, like the pain that parents feel when they watch their children die from gun violence. And he said he wished Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views. And Coyner hung up on him. Reasonable. Yeah. Now, you might be thinking, how do we know he said that? That's her word against his. It's a phone call. We don't know what he said. See, the thing is, though, he started texting her afterwards. And what he said was very consistent with what he said on the phone. He's texting her going, I wasn't attacking you. I was trying to understand your logic. And she says, you weren't trying to understand. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. And he said, yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. That's a text. So there's no doubt this is what he's saying. To be fair to Jay Jones, he obviously wasn't actually saying that he wanted to kill Gilbert and his wife and his children, right? He was being rhetorical and he was making a point. Not a very nice point, not in a very nice way, clearly in a way that you haven't heard before from the look on your face. but it was being rhetorical. Remember what Trump said at the beginning of this pod about how he wants to kill his opponent and kill his wife and kill his children? No, he doesn't. Okay, so that Trump's been ridiculous, but still not great. I'm not finished. He obviously then said that he didn't really mean it. He was joking. Or I don't know what he said. Because then the next bunch of texts we've got, she writes, I point blank asked you more than 3 times and you dug in that you meant it. I honestly am questioning a lot today. And he says, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. You're not making it better, Jay Jones. You'll note before, he said, like I told you before. Yeah. So he said this before. Coyner, he said this back in 2020. They had a conversation about qualified immunity back then. Remember, this is 2020. That's the George Floyd period. And Coyner apparently had told Jones that without legal protection, police officers would get killed. And Jones supposedly replied, well, maybe if a few of them died, they would move on, not shooting people, not killing people. Now, that's a Coyner. I believe her. You can doubt her if you want. I think she's telling the truth. All right, Jay Jones, that these texts came out. Big controversy, unsurprisingly.
Unsurprising, yeah.
Jay Jones apologizes. This is his apology.
Earlier today, Jones said in a statement, quote, "I take full responsibility for my actions and I want to issue my deepest apology to Speaker Gilbert and his family. Reading back those words made me sick to my stomach. I am embarrassed, ashamed, and sorry. I have reached out to Speaker Gilbert to apologize directly to him, his wife Jennifer, and their children. I cannot take back what I said. I can only take full accountability and offer my sincere apology. Virginians deserve honest leaders who admit when they are wrong and own up to their mistakes. This was a grave mistake, and I will work every day to prove to the people of Virginia that I will fight for them as Attorney General."
I'm not sure that he is taking full accountability because he's done nothing except put out this statement. But anyway, that's fine. What do you reckon? What should happen to Jay Jones?
Well, I think he's probably going to lose an election.
It's looking that way. Like he's running about 10 points behind all the other Democrats running for offices in Virginia. I mean, look, it's possible he could still get up. Like he's not so far behind that he's blown away. He's probably about 3 or 4 points behind, I'd say.
Yeah, so he could win.
He could win. He could win. But yeah, if this hadn't happened, he'd win comfortably.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's where, the question of judgment comes into it. His judgment, where the person he's texting, Coiner, has asked him to stop and said, and he keeps going. He keeps writing it down. And don't write it down, dude.
I know.
Why do they keep doing this? Yeah. So I think there's my judgment is on his judgment, clearly. Yeah. And like there are appalling things to say. Like, I think you're right that it's not, I don't think it's a direct threat or anything like that. I think it's hyperbolic and ridiculous, but it's a stupid way to approach politics. I think it's not untrue what he said about if politicians experience pain or the threat of pain, they might change their position. But the kind of pain that we're talking about is not the kind of pain that he is talking about. Yes. Like that's a wild way to approach politics and an ungenerous, indecent way. So I'm being pretty judgy.
If you didn't know the details of that, then you might not know the ins and outs of what's happened since. The big issue, politically speaking, has been the governor, the woman running for governor in Virginia for the Democrats has not unendorsed him.
Yeah, right. Well,
do you think she should have unendorsed him?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you can escape that kind of language, do you?
Well, no, I don't. I definitely would have unendorsed. I actually think it would have been really easy for her to unendorse him.
Yeah.
Who cares if she unendorses him? It wouldn't even affect his polling.
No, it's not going to affect the result.
No one cares about Abigail Spanberger's personal feelings about Jay Jones. The only reason they're asking her is because of how it affects the governor's race.
Yeah.
That's all they care about. They don't care whether she personally approves of Jay Jones or not. So she might as well just go, no, I don't approve at all.
Yeah.
He should step down.
And again, because this raises questions about his judgment. Why is he texting that to a Republican? It's wild.
Well, I mean, presumably they must have some kind of social relationship.
That he's dramatically misjudged.
Oh, yeah. No arguments from me on that. But I'm just saying, clearly she's not, he's got her number in her phone. And the way she's replying with, Jay Jones, clearly they have a relationship where he thinks he's this incorrigible scamp, and they do that a bit. I'm not excusing him at all, but I'm just saying that it's not just some random Republican. It's someone he knows.
Yeah.
But still, poor judgment.
Very poor judgment.
I 100% agree. Yeah, my take on this is that I feel while he's not threatening anyone, as everyone keeps on saying, because people just keep on saying that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's just been a massively unpleasant person.
Yeah.
He's been a huge dick. And to me, I don't think he necessarily needs to step down himself. If people ask me if I think he should step down, I'd say yes. But I don't think he has to. It's up to him. I think the way elections work, he's got instant accountability here. And he wants to be accountable. Here's how you be accountable. You run for it, and then you get spanked. And that's fine. That's cool. this is one for the voters to decide. If the voters want him anyway, maybe they hate the Republicans so much they'd prefer to have this dickhead. And if so, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't when it's too late to replace someone, which it is.
Yeah.
You don't deprive the voters of a choice. Let the voters make their decision. Just give them full knowledge. Let them make the decision.
Do you reckon they have full knowledge though?
Oh, about how much of a dickhead he is. I think they're getting a sense of it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't end there. I've got more stories about him. What are you driving at when you say, do you think they...
Well, I mean, I'm sure this is getting a huge run on Fox News.
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever, but the people
everywhere.
watching Fox News are not going to vote for him anyway.
That's true.
I wouldn't have thought.
That's true.
And so, are people engaged enough to even know that this is happening or to make the decision, the informed decision on that basis?
Anyone who's paying any attention to the race will know about it for reasons I'm about to show you.
Okay.
Oh, no. Right, there's more. Because remember, first we started with the actual text.
Yeah.
And then we moved to the reaction. So I've got plenty on the reaction coming. Right. Look, speaking for myself, I'd find it hard to vote for the guy. I don't know what the Republicans like. Maybe he's worse. I don't know. But I'd find it pretty hard to vote for that guy. I think I'd find myself probably not voting in an election at all if I had a choice between him and someone who I didn't rate.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, one more question before I get into the reaction. Does it matter that these were completely private texts? Should someone be hung for a private conversation? Because, in this case, it's a pretty clear who's offending. But, it's not always going to be the case. The world we're living in, there's going to be more of these. Should people, if someone can get their hands on someone's private conversations where they say something unfortunate, should that end their political career?
Yeah, I think this is a really tricky one, and I don't think I have a very satisfactory answer. I think in this particular case, if you're texting a Republican, someone from the opposing party who's telling you to stop and you're still doing it, then that's on you if that's leaked. You've got to assume that's a possibility.
Yes.
And it is telling and I know we'll get to this, but in how many of these leaked group chats there are multiple texts being oh, we're so dead if this ever gets leaked.
Yes.
I've definitely written that same message in group chats with my friends. I'm sure you have as well.
Yes.
So it's a risk that people are aware of.
Oh, have I ever? Lucky knows about some of my group texts. Yes. Honestly, you would not believe what the Chaser group chat is like. You would not believe what it's like.
I think I probably don't want to know.
If the Australian could get their hands on the Chaser group chat, oh my God.
One of them's going to be trying to now. So of course, you have a right to privacy. You have a right to assume that those kind of chats are, should be kept private. But in this environment, and especially if I think you're dealing in or you're aspiring to public office, then that is an active risk you take. And, there are ethical questions around that. But the reality is this is the situation. And people are quite clearly aware of it. They're using Signal and disappearing messages for that reason, for that very reason, which raises other ethical concerns. So that's a totally unsatisfactory answer. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I've got a take on this that might surprise people. I think that if you've got a normal job, if you're just an accountant, I don't think you should be sacked for anything that you write.
Yeah.
As long as it's legal. I don't care if it's racist. I don't care if it's Nazi. I don't care. If this is a private text to a friend or whatever. Okay, you're right. If you're harassing someone, if you're sending an unwanted text message to someone else, then that's on you. But if somehow something you sent to a consenting adult who's cool with it, someone steals their phone or something and or hacks your phone and gets I just don't think a normal person should be sacked for things they say that are legal, which are leaked for no fault of their own. But if your job's in PR, I think everything is on you.
Yeah.
And when I say PR, I mean entertainment, I mean politics. If your job is public relations, then you have to be squeaky clean. And if for whatever reason you're not squeaky clean, whether it's fair or not fair, tough shit. That's your job. Your job is to be squeaky clean. And if you're not squeaky clean, then you have to cop it. Now, maybe you exist maybe you're lucky enough that you're in a position where even if you're not squeaky clean, you'll still win. cool.
Mm-hmm. Then we might get to one
Yeah.
of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. But I just don't think you have any excuse. If something gets out and your job is to be a public figure, then you just have to cop it on the nose. And that's the reason why I just joked at the Chaser group chat, but in reality, I'd never write a thing that I wouldn't expect to be on the front page next day. I write some pretty fruity things. But having said that, I'm always prepared to defend it. And that's not just now. I've been like that my entire career. Yeah. Like ever since 2002, I've been like that. Even private texts I send to people, I would be prepared to defend. And once again, I'm not boring about it. I'm not like a robot.
Yeah.
But contrary to rumors, but I am in the back of my mind. I always think to myself when I'm typing something a bit wild, just think, how would I defend this?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just don't think when you're in the show business game and that's politics, you just got to cop it. And and that doesn't mean I don't feel sorry for you. That doesn't mean all the rest of it. But just there's no excuse. I don't think you ever say this is off limits. It's just not off limits. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, the reality is that it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's my take on this kind of stuff. I think in particular in politics, I don't think they should be forced to drop out for the reason I just said. Mm-hmm. I think that the voters are a perfect mechanism to decide whether they continue on. But I don't think he can complain.
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I guess we would hope that you don't have to be squeaky clean. Like, I think we want to allow people to make mistakes and learn from them, which I think the best responses to some of these leaks have done. But it's usually the case that what has been leaked is not so bad. You know, it's defensible for whatever reason. And if the person can demonstrate that they've taken accountability and they've learned from it, then great. Like, that's what we want from people.
Well, that's part of the PR, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. I get. Once again, I'm not saying that you have to make a snap decision based on the original text. It's all part of the process. The whole story involves apologies and making amends and all the rest of it. And just it's and how well you play that game may depend may affect how people vote for you. As you said, we're about to find out someone who was a lot better at apologising than Jay Jones. Okay, so let's get to the reaction. Like I flagged before, they stood by him. They're still standing by him. The Virginia Beach Democratic Committee statement that said, the Virginia Beach Democratic Committee reaffirms its full support of Jay Jones for Attorney General. We're lined up, 10 toes down, ready to organise, mobilise and deliver voters for Jay and our entire Democratic ticket. Recent press may have spotlighted past mistakes. We say, let those without sin cast the first stone. Jay Jones has taken responsibility, apologised and shown he's committed to serving with integrity and accountability. Has he really? That his public record already shows. Virginians deserve a leader who learns, grows and stands for everyday people, and Jay is that leader. Tim Kaine also came out and defended. Now, Tim Kaine, the reason I'm isolating him, there's a few reasons, but the main one is because, I know he's a Virginia senator, but he's a hardcore Christian. The thing he's best known for, apart from his political career, is he spent years as a missionary. Like, he's a real sort of, like, he's not a bullshit Christian. He's a real Christian's Christian, right? Yep. This is what he had to say.
Jay has apologized. The statements that he made were indefensible, but I've known Jay Jones for 25 years. I think those statements were not in character, and he has apologized. I wish other people in public life would sincerely apologize for stuff. So, no, I still am a supporter.
I'm going to focus on something a little bit minor. It amuses me. He's known Jay Jones for 25 years, he said. Jay Jones is 36. I think Tim Kaine needs to tell us about the relationship he had with Jay Jones when Jay Jones was 11. No wonder Jay Jones is so screwed up. No, I think he might have got the numbers wrong. But anyway. Spamberger. Abigail Spamberger, the governor. Well, the woman who's about to be governor. The Democratic candidate for governor. She responded with, after learning of these comments earlier today, I spoke frankly with Jay about my disgust with what he had said and texted. I made clear to Jay that he must fully take responsibility for his words. What I have also made clear is that as a candidate and the next governor of our Commonwealth, I will always condemn violent language in our politics. Are you going to endorse him or are you going to disendorse him or not? She didn't want to talk about that. And she found it a lot more difficult to get away from that evasion at the governor's debate. Let's have a look at that.
Ms. Spanberger, you have called the comments disgusting and said you condemn violence. The question for you tonight is, were you aware of these messages before they were released publicly? And will you continue to endorse Jay Jones as the next Attorney General of Virginia? You have 60 seconds.
The comments that Jay Jones made are absolutely abhorrent. I denounced them when I learned of them, and I will denounce them every opportunity I get. As a mother, as a public servant, as a candidate for governor, I denounce them. And it is important that candidates always denounce violence on no matter which side of the aisle. Violence, violent rhetoric, we should always be focused and forceful in our denouncement of it.
Are you going to tell him
and
to get us out of
importantly,
the race?
my opponent, unfortunately, only denounces violence when her side is the target. I hope
like that,
into
Abigail.
the future she will endeavor to denounce violent rhetoric and violence no matter who the victim. And tonight, Lieutenant Governor Earl Sears, I will say, you routinely refer to me as your enemy.
Just please give her a chance to
routinely
respond.
refer to me as your enemy. I'm not your enemy. You are not my enemy. We are political opponents, and tonight voters are here to listen to the policy differences that we have. So as we move forward, we must continue to set a good example for all of our children.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. I didn't hear an answer there on the endorsement issue, so I want to just make sure. Will you continue to endorse Jay Jones to be the next Attorney General of Virginia? And were you aware of these text messages before they released? You have 30 seconds.
In fact, it appears that it was those who released the text messages and held them for years. So the public was unaware who had knowledge of these text messages for many years.
What did you do about it?
I learned of these text messages the day that they came out, and I denounced them as soon as I learned of them.
She denounces murder.
And importantly, at this point, as we move forward, the voters now have this information that was withheld for them.
You're running to
presumably
be
for political reasons. But the voters now have the information, and it is up to voters to make an individual choice based on this information.
That was painful, wasn't it?
Increasingly affirmed in my mental health choices to not listen to this stuff.
Yeah, that Republican interrupting was not helpful either. It actually got much more awkward. I'm going to save you the trouble of not playing you the bit where the Republican was just badgering her and she refused to respond. She sat there silently.
Wow.
And she was calling by name, going, Abigail, Abigail, Abigail. And she's just sitting there silently.
Doing a Tony Abbott, like,
yeah, just looking ahead, just going, no, I'm not going to say a word. And, I'll save you that.
Thanks, please do.
I played on Play America if you guys want to watch it. There. Yeah, she didn't deal with that very well. And I feel like that would have been... Why don't we look at Roan, who's the only Democrat I saw flat out not supporting Jay Jones. It's just so easy to do.
Should that man, Jay Jones, drop out of the race?
Well, it's horrific. There's no excuse for it. I fully condemn it. And yeah, I mean, I haven't followed all the details, but if he was actually saying that, I certainly wouldn't support him.
Pretty easy.
Pretty straightforward.
And she could have done the same thing. Yeah. Like just said, yeah, no, I don't endorse him. Like I can't make him drop out. It's up to him whether he stays or not. Yeah, whether he stays in the race or not. But just I can't support the person who sends those kinds of texts. Leave it at that. Yeah. Move on. I don't know what the Peppers think, but I don't know why she was drawing a line like that. It doesn't make a difference in the end. She's going to win. He's going to lose, I think. But there's an obvious double standard as well. Back in 2019, Virginia Governor Ralph Northam was under the pump when a 1984 medical school yearbook photo was resurfaced. Do you remember that one? Have a look at this photo here. You might see if you can spot what the problem is with the photo.
Oh, no. I do remember.
For those who aren't watching, we've got a dude in full blackface, seemingly dressed like a gollywog, standing next to a Ku Klux Klan guy. And the Spanberger statement on Ralph Northam was, it peaked with, Governor Northam must resign and fully acknowledge the painful past these images evoke. Bigotry has no place in Virginia. So she didn't mind calling for him to resign. Obviously, it was different because he was the governor at that point in time, and there was a Democratic lieutenant governor. So that was political. It was politically more convenient at that point in time. But look, that is a double standard, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course it is.
Not just me saying that. Just make sure. Yeah, okay. All right. Just so you know, because you probably don't know this story from the looks of things, just so you know, the full Jay Jones situation, it actually gets worse. I'll just be very, very quick on this one because it's not about text. He was also caught driving a few years back at 115 miles an hour in a 70-mile-an-hour zone on the same day that he was sentenced. Another person was caught driving 46 miles over the limit. They got 10 days in jail. Their license was suspended for 6 months and they were fined $2,000. And once they got their license back, they were only allowed to drive to and from work forever. Jones got no jail time. He got a $1,500 fine. His driving privileges were not impacted at all. But he did get 1,000 hours of community service. He spent 500 hours of that community service at the Meet Our Moment group, which is his political action committee. He was campaigning. I'm not sure how that counts as community service. The other 500 hours he spent helping the NAACP. Like they're a legitimate organisation. Suspiciously, though, at the same time as he was spending 500 hours helping the NAACP, his law firm was representing the NAACP. And there's some speculation that he just did his job as a lawyer and he counted that as community service.
Great. Nicely done.
There's no accounting at all for how he spent any of those hours. Yeah. He's just got a couple of signatures and that's kind of it. So that's also quite controversial in Virginia as well. Yeah. Interesting fellow. Yeah. So you got any other thoughts about this example? Anything? Any? Do you think we've covered it appropriately?
I think we've covered it in a lot
All
of
right.
detail.
Let's move on to the Young Republicans then. This is another example. To be honest, we don't know a lot of what went on in this chat. Like Politico there were maybe 6 exchanges quoted, if that. Like and there are 28,000 messages in this chat. 2,900 pages. This may not be representative in any way, shape, or form, but I'll tell you what they've got. It's
bad.
Let's quote them. All right. They referred to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people, and mused. Actually, one person in particular did that, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about raping their enemies and driving them to suicide, and lauded Republicans who they believe supported slavery. We've got a few exchanges here. I'll read out the full exchange to give you a sense of what we're talking about, okay? None of this is serious, but the first question I'm going to ask you is, does that matter? And so, as I read it, just be thinking about that. We don't know the context. Everyone that votes no, they're talking about some vote. Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber. And everyone that endorsed but then votes for us is going to the gas chamber. Then another person says, when do we start bullying, dude? Another person says, we've sold 3 people who can probably have them want to jump. I think they mean like suicide, right? Then next person, if they vote for us, why would they be gassed? And then the next person, when do we bring that side out? First person responds, I'm going to create some of the greatest physiological torture methods known to man. And then, we only want true believers. Can we fix the showers? Gas chambers don't work for the Hitler aesthetic. I'm ready to watch people burn now, says someone else. We got to pretend that we like them. Hey, come on in. Take a nice shower and relax. Boom, they're dead. So that gives you an idea of what we're talking about here, right? Others were just flat out racism. Like just as in not like joking around racism, just racism. Right? It's just nothing ironic, right? One asked if the New Yorkers in the chat were watching an NBA playoff game, and the others responded, I'd go to the zoo if I wanted to watch monkey play ball. Okay, there's no way you're spinning that. Right? That's just flat out, I just hate black people. Yeah. Right? That same guy was the one who referred to black people as the watermelon people. That same guy talks approvingly about the Orange County Teenage Republican Organization in New York and how he's pleased with its young members' ideological bent because, quote, they support slavery and all that shit. Mega based. That guy, he's a problem. Let's be very clear about that. But, okay. Then another, which could be one or the other, I'm not quite sure, said, actually, no, before we even go on to the others, let's take that first one, the gas chamber thing, where they're talking shit, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think any of those people there are enthusiasts for gas chambers or particularly hating of Jews or whatever. I think they're just, I mean, I'm leading the witness here. I'm telling you what I think, but then I'm going to ask you what you think. I think that they are, that they have some weird shtick going on where they like to talk about gas chambers for reasons I don't understand, and they're playing along. I don't think that they actually are Nazis from that exchange. Do you disagree? What are your thoughts? And does it matter?
Yeah, it absolutely matters. I think, especially because if you put it in the context in which it's happening, these are people who are campaigning to effectively run the young Republicans on a Trumpian platform.
Yeah. So just be clear. When I say does it matter, I mean, does it matter whether, I mean, doesn't matter if they're just joking.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't think it does. Like, I think in the political context, this movement uses jokes to normalise that kind of rhetoric, which we know encourages violence. Like, we know there's a direct correlation. And that's following directly from the Trump playbook. Like, Trump, raises those, flies those kites, jokes about things, jokes about running for office again, jokes about all kinds of stuff, and then normalises it and then does it. Like, that's the Trump cycle. And I think that's what we're seeing played out here. We're seeing that kind of young people in particular in that movement respond to the way Trump talks and the way he normalises that kind of rhetoric. So in that sense, I don't think it does matter that they're joking. I think that's a deliberate strategy used in public by the Trump movement to let them off the hook. And they do that all the time, like using ambiguity and hand signals in plausible deniability in the language that they use in order to throw people off and to simultaneously recruit and normalize. Like, and these people are obviously chronically online as well, and using that kind of language. And I also think they are anti-Semitic, like they're playing into anti-Semitic tropes. And that's been an argument that's really been hard to prosecute in today's America because of the Trump administration's alignment with Netanyahu's Israel, right? That disguises an anti-Semitism that has always existed in the right that way in their dog whistling about, Soros funding the No Kings protests. So I think that context all matters, and those guys know the context in which they're operating. They understand it.
Fair enough. The only thing I'd probably take issue with, I mean, we like, your opinion is obviously slightly different than mine, but not much. But the one thing I take issue with is I don't think this is from Trump. I think this is from the online right.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I don't think Trump would ever talk like that. Like, he wouldn't be talking gas chambers and stuff like that. Like, he uses violent language.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, he doesn't talk gassing people. Like, that is a classic online right trope.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so I think that's what it is. They're acting like edgelords. Like,
absolutely.
They're the dudes that are inspiring these guys.
And I mean, you see pictures of them and they really look like edgelords. Sorry, that's judgy Emma coming back in.
I don't think they can complain. It's one of those when you're a public figure, which they are, they're in the politics game, then it's all open slather. And why I let you finish the question you thought I asked you before, because I think people are going to be interested in that one as well. Why does this scandal matter?
So, I think this matters because this is the young Republican Party. Like, this is the movement that's, coming up behind Trump. This is, the young people that he's cultivating to kind of build the MAGA legacy. This is the J.D. Vance wing as well. Like, he's been out, we'll probably get to this, but he's been out in defense.
He has. We are going to get to this.
Yeah. So this is about, that Trumpian takeover of the Republican Party. And that very much, like, understanding that is very much in the public interest.
Yep. Okay. Do a few more of these because we haven't got enough. Another said that he's drawn to Missouri's Young Republican organization because, quote, Missouri doesn't like word that starts with F that means homosexuals. And then also, while we're at it, that F word, the gay F word, the black N word, and the disabled R word.
They love that one.
Yeah, those three words together were apparently used 251 times in the chat. Now, this is going to be one where probably you and I part. In that, I think there are times when at least some of those words can be used in a harmless way. Like I've heard gay people use the F word in an affectionate way a number of times, and like and obviously I've heard black people use the N word in an affectionate way as well. It's about the tone as much as anything. I have no concept of how the tone was used, but if they're used in the tone which I'm reading the other parts that is quoted, I have a sneaking suspicion it's not very positive.
I think you might be right.
And not very affectionate. And what I would say is, if any of those three words are used without affection, then you don't come back from that.
No, absolutely.
You just don't. There's just no context in which, if it's not used in an affectionate way, you're coming back from that. And so we don't know the context because it's not quoted. But someone knows who those people are.
Yeah. And the context we have, I think, is pretty clear evidence that it's not affectionate.
Yeah.
At least on the part of some of the participants.
I'm not trying to make an excuse for them. I'm just being very clear that whenever we're talking about wording, I always think, okay, well, how could, my first thing I think is I try and play devil's advocate. Okay, well, how could that be fine? There is no world in which calling a gay person F can be fine if you're not an ally.
Yeah.
There's just no world. It's just
and I mean, if you are, like, why are you using that? You shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even know why I'm going. Lucky's just going, why you do this, Chaz? He's seen me do this so many times. I feel the need to be intellectually honest. Yeah, like I just feel the need. I'm as unwise as it is. I can see, and I have lived and have been part of conversations where people are ironic.
Yeah, sure.
And they actually are completely on board, and they are being completely ironic and in a really obvious way, in a non-encouraging way at all. So it's possible. I'm suspicious that these are those circumstances. Anyway, the one which I did defend, which I did get attacked a little bit about, not attacked, that's too hard a word, I got disagreed with a little bit, was that the thing that was the headline, which was the I love Hitler comment. The headline says I love Hitler. And I mentioned on Planet America when we talked about this, I said, I'm really uncomfortable with that being the headline because it makes it look like, and it was so obviously a joke. I'll read the exchange, which was, I had some back and forth with the VC, I think he's some kind of boss, in Michigan. Current chair is a deer in the headlights. We have a call Wednesday. The other person says, many agree. And then the first person says, he did say my delegates I bring will vote for the most right-wing person. And everyone said, great, I love Hitler. And so that to me is obviously them making a joke about something they don't believe. They're saying like the joke there is person A is saying we're going to reward the most right-wing person, and person B says, so I am going to be outrageously right-wing to win. So the joke, it's only a joke if you don't actually think that. If you are saying something you actually think, then that's not a joke, right? So that wouldn't be an appropriate response unless you're going, oh, excellent. Since I love Hitler, I think I am going to win. Which would be a strange thing to say, right? It's pretty, to me.
I think it's a strange thing to say anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it's a great joke. I don't think it's a great joke. But I think I can just see that in the chat. It's just, like, to me, it's clearly not serious, and it was treated like it was serious in the headline. So I didn't like that. But I mean,
I'm going to push back.
No, this is good. I promise you, at least 40%, if not 80% of our audience are going to be delighted to see this pushback. Go for it.
Because if you're aiming to be the most right-wing candidate in the Republican Party, isn't that what that means?
I think,
like in today's Republican Party, if you are the most right-wing candidate in that party, is there any difference?
I think that's something that we would say because we're not Republicans. I think that if a Republican was seen here, they would go, no, that's not true at all.
Of course they would say that's not true. Like,
no, but we're talking about Republicans here. These are Republicans, right?
Yeah.
I guess I don't think that they think that is actually a realistic position for the most right-wing person.
I think you're right that it's clearly a joke, but I think ideologically speaking, like, what is the difference between that statement and the most right-wing position you can take in today's Republican Party? What is the material difference ideologically?
Well, if we're talking about like in reality, I think there are Nazis who are members of the Republican Party.
That's my point.
There actually are. So if we're talking, if you're saying, realistically, are there people who actually are Nazis in the Republican Party? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
But I still think that's a joke.
Yeah, but I think what I mean, I'm sort of feeling my way, but I think what I mean is that both things are true.
Yeah.
I think we're both right.
Sure, okay. Yeah. I can take that. But having said that, we've already covered off on this before. The question I asked you before, does it matter if it's a joke? And you said the answer is no.
No.
It doesn't matter. Like, you still shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
So I now have a few questions before we get into the response. Do we care that this is a Telegram chat? And once again, a private conversation. These people aren't politicians yet. They might be about to be, but they're not yet. Do we care about that? Like these, like forget the stupid shit JD Vance is about to say, which we all know. Right? The fact is, they're not kids, but they are.
They're like 30.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They're 25 to 34. Yeah. But they're still private people who aren't. They're not public figures yet. This is a private Telegram chat, which someone has leaked for political purposes.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, someone has leaked this to get them, right?
Yeah.
So, and these people don't have jobs as politicians, mostly. The people who've been sacked, because I'm skipping ahead here, a bunch have been sacked. They weren't politicians. Should they be sacked?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it goes again to a question of judgment because it's a Telegram private chat, but there's heaps of people in it, aren't there? Like there are a lot of people in this chat.
Yeah, there are tens of thousands of people in this chat.
Yeah, there you go. So you've got to assume that there's at least a possibility that other people are going to see this. It's going to be talked about.
Yep.
So I think that's a very real risk. I think a lot of these people clearly think they have immunity because of Trump, because of the nature of politics in the United States, and they don't, and that's good. And I think a lot of these people were staffers, is that right? So like maybe not in public office themselves, but are serving the public in some way. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Chaz, about like you've got to be squeaky clean, or if not squeaky clean, at least defensible. And that stuff, it's not, there's no universe in which it's defensible. I mean, no, that's not true. In JD Vance's universe, it's defensible.
Yes.
But like most decent people don't live there.
I just was, while you were talking there, the reason I kept on looking down was not because I've been rude, because I was just checking to see if I could find some reference to the number of people. I think it's hundreds, not tens of thousands.
Yeah,
but
it's big. Yeah, like it's too big.
It's still
to
big,
me.
but I just wanted to just clarify that. I mean, the fact there's hundreds might invalidate the next question, but I'll ask it anyway. And that is, we've all been on chats where people shit talk, right?
Yeah.
Where people, like, they dump on their friends, and they don't mean it. They're just venting, screwing around, whatever. They say stuff they don't mean. They're not meant to be taken seriously. There are some, this might be, my question is that a card that any of these people can play? Like I said before, there are some people in there which I think they have no options. Yeah. But then there are some where like the gas chamber one is one I'm thinking of there, where you just go, these people do not mean this.
Yeah.
Like they're just shit talking. Should they be held responsible for shit talking in a chat that they never thought anyone would ever see?
I think that's kind of circumstantial. Like how bad is the shit talking? Like what is the rest of the context and the cultural context, particularly for the conversation? Because as we were saying, you know, if these people are chronically online, to somebody who's not chronically online, it looks very different, and you miss that context. And I think that's true, probably true in this space. And there's obviously also a lot of people in the chat who weren't participating or weren't encouraging. And so there's levels of defensibility there. But, you know, the shit posting about the gas chambers, again, in the context of the broader anti-Semitism of the movement and the violent anti-Semitism of the movement, I mean, I don't think it's forgivable. I mean, maybe it is if you know, I guess want to learn from your mistakes, but I don't think that, like, too much of our analysis assumes that we're dealing with good faith actors.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into the response and I'll have more questions. The response is the strictest response we're going to see from anyone. The Young Republicans just threw them overboard. Bang. The Young Republicans National Federation Board of Directors put out a statement. We are appalled by the vile and inexcusable language revealed in the Politico article published today. Such behaviour is disgraceful, unbecoming of any Republican, and stands in direct opposition to the values our movement represents. Those involved must immediately resign from all positions within their state and local Young Republican organisations. So they're just saying anyone in the chat is gone.
That's a non-endorsement.
Yeah, that's an endorsement, all right. And we must hold ourselves to the highest standards of integrity, respect, and professionalism. What do you reckon?
I mean, that would be nice if it were true. I mean, I think that's the right response. Like, I am genuinely surprised that that's been the response given, you know, the state of the Republican Party more broadly. But absolutely, that's the right response.
They've copped a lot of shit for that. There's a lot of
from their own.
Yeah, from their own.
Of course they have.
Yeah. Like from a lot of people saying now, that the Democrats would never do that. The Republicans are weak. They're just giving in, and they're just getting bullied by the
cancel culture.
no, there's a word they use. It's the Pravda press.
Oh, it's student politics is the worst.
Okay, let's get to JD Vance, his reaction. Now, earlier this year, Marco Elez, a member of the Doge Lost Boys, he was caught writing stuff like, "You couldn't pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity," and "I just want a eugenic immigration policy. Is that too much to ask?" and "normalize Indian hate." And people were wondering about how JD Vance would react to this, because, of course, he's married to an Indian person.
Yes.
And this is what he wrote at the time. "Here's my view. I obviously disagree with some of Elez's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life. We shouldn't reward journalists who try to destroy people ever." Now, note the kid was 25. But obviously, after Charlie Kirk, he couldn't punish tweeters and posters fast enough. He had a very different view. He didn't care about their age, just get rid of them, go after them. If they were insufficiently respectful to Charlie Kirk, of course. And then, hilariously, with this Young Republicans controversy, he returned to his old view. He cited the J. Jones text from before that I read out, and he wrote this, talking about the J. Jones exchange, "is far worse than anything said in a college group chat, and the guy who said it could become the Attorney General of Virginia. I refuse to join the pearl clutching when powerful people call for political violence." He wasn't calling for political violence. But anyway, Young Republicans, they're not kids in college. They can be between 18 and 40. Vance is 41. He's just out of the age group for Young Republicans. In this chat, the offenders were between the ages of 25 and 34. The man that I cited before as the problem, 31. Right? That guy, I don't know what that guy's deal is, but I get the feeling we're going to be hearing from him again. Yeah, he is a problem. And note, by the way, J. Jones, when he wrote those texts, he was 33. So he was younger than some of the Young Republicans that Vance just defended as kids. This was not a college group chat. It was a political group. Right? These people were leaders in a political group. They should have known that, like you said, anything they wrote could be screenshotted because there were hundreds of people there.
Yep. And especially in it's not student politics, you just said that, but a young Republicans group where they're vying for power and the stakes are so low, but the drama is so high.
Totally.
And the factional warfare is so intense. Of course you're little enemies in your factional warfare and the young Republicans are going to try and get you. That's the whole point.
It was like that in the 90s, let alone now. Like, people were absolutely paranoid about the other factions and uni politics in the 90s. They were the enemy. Okay. A number of them have been sacked, like I said. One was the chief of staff to Republican New York Assemblyman Mark Riley, sacked. Another was employed by the New York State Unified Court System, sacked. So let's take that example, the employee of the New York State Unified Court System. You reckon sacked because of poor judgment?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yep. I think I agree. As in, look, I wouldn't be crying if they weren't sacked, but I think it's the same rules as I said before.
Yep.
They're public figures. As soon as they're in the chat, they're a public figure. They're in the politics game. That's PR. Sorry, you lose your job when you've got mud on you in the politics game. If you don't like it, don't get into the politics game. Mm-hmm. I probably wouldn't be sacking them if I was their boss of the Unified Court System. But if I was their friend and they got sacked, I'd say, don't whinge, mate.
Yeah,
put it on yourself.
Probably should have thought this through.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I think I'm largely around the same place you are.
I reckon a lot of them will probably come back too. They'll wait for a while.
Yeah, which is, look, I don't know about you. Okay, that's a good question. My point of view is they should be able to. You shouldn't be banned for life because of something you wrote when you were 24.
No, that's true.
Yeah, like if you're punished, what you need to do is you need to show that you've made amends,
learned from the
experience. That's what you need to do. You need to. No one's perfect, but no one should be forgiven unless they ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, and the vibe from this is that they're not interested in that.
I'm not seeing a lot of asking for forgiveness so far. But let's leave Vance's obvious double standards aside for a second. Let's consider his main point on its own, which he hasn't expressed yet. I'm going to play it. This is his main point.
I mean, I'm like an old guy at this point. I'm 41 years old. I have 3 kids. I grew up in a different world, right? Where not most of the stupid things that I did when I was a teenager and a young adult, they're not on the internet. Like, I'm going to tell my kids, especially my boys, don't put things on the internet. Like, be careful with what you post. If you put something in a group chat, assume that some scumbag is going to leak it in an effort to try to cause you harm or cause your family harm. But the reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives. And at some point, we're all going to have to say, enough of this BS. We're not going to allow the worst moment in a 21-year-old's group chat to ruin a kid's life for the rest of time. That's just not okay. Like, we live in a digital world. This stuff is now etched in stone online. We're all going to have to say, you know what? No. We're not doing it.
Let's divorce this from the Young Republicans, because what he's saying is bullshit when it comes to the Young Republicans. Let's just take the point by itself.
Sure.
Okay, so let's talk about an actual 21-year-old, which aren't these people. Let's talk about an actual 21-year-old who's doing exactly what he says, which is not what these people did. Right? So someone in a college group chat, says something stupid, and they're not a politician, and it's used against them somewhere down the track. Do we feel like no matter how bad something someone says in that context, it should be forgivable or not, and under what circumstances?
I mean, like, I think it's true that, kids do stupid shit. Like, college, university students do stupid shit. Like, sure, that's fine. Again, I think the context matters.
Yeah,
it depends how bad it is.
Yeah,
and it depends on...
But let's say real bad.
Well, I mean, again, then that for me comes back to a question of judgment. Like, why are you saying that real bad thing? Because you're trying to hurt someone.
Yeah.
You're trying to get a reaction. And usually you're trying to punch down on someone who's vulnerable, for structural reasons. And that's where, you know, like JD Vance is so good at making like quite radical things sound like common sense, because taken out of context, what he's saying does sound like common sense. Kids say stupid shit, you know, but there are little signals in there because he's talking about boys in particular and allowing boys to do hurtful things because that's what boys do.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? And we've got to be able to forgive them for it. But he's not interested in forgiving black boys for making mistakes or women for making mistakes, right? And I think that context really matters. And it's so, you know, it's so telling that his framing is around like some scumbag who's out to get you and not like don't say hateful shit, like don't be an asshole. That's not the framing. Like, you know, so much of this is about men like this wanting to be able to say horrible things without consequence. And I think that that's the context that matters. I don't know. What do you think?
I think I actually kind of answered it accidentally before, which is I think everything's forgivable if you ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. If you say something bad, really bad, really, really bad, show us what you've learnt.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, and there are ways to do that.
I'll forgive it tomorrow if you do.
Yeah.
Show us what you've learnt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do think, I think the point he's raising, isolated from this bullshit, is a completely legitimate point. But that there's a completely legitimate response as well, which is, you don't need to be punished. You just need to show some accountability. And, you know, the best kind of accountability is not to do it in the first place. That's real accountability. But if you're going to do it, show some accountability afterwards. Real accountability. Don't be Jay Jones and just say I'm being accountable. just actually show it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about which, Graham Platner. He's an interesting example because you could not show more accountability than Graham Platner. Like he's just basically, if you exist in Maine and you have picked up the written word in the last month, you have read one of his apologies.
Yeah.
Because he's doing nothing but being accountable. So Graham Platner is, for those who haven't seen us talk about him, he's an oysterman and a military veteran who has drawn national attention as a potential Senate candidate for the Democrats. He's kind of a populist. He's 41. He's kind of rough around the edges. He's exactly the kind of guy the Democrats desperately want to run for them. He's the kind of guy who you would assume is MAGA. Like he's got a real MAGA vibe about him, but he's actually really liberal. And not just is he really liberal, but he's a really good talker. Like he's a really smooth talker, very good at explaining things. He's very charismatic. He seems like a absolute natural politician. And he's just got the exact, not just demography, but attitude that Democrats are dying for. So they really want him. Yeah. And Bernie Sanders in particular really wants him because he's a Bernie socialist type. So so he's been hugely supported by Bernie. And in that wing, they love him so much. He's been doing the rounds and the rallies and stuff. I should say, by the way, he's not as working class in reality as he comes off, but that's part of what makes him a great politician. He's kind of like the left version of George W. Bush in a way. He's got the pedigree, but you would never know it from the way he acts. Okay, so his problem started when the day that Janet Mills, the establishment, joined the race to compete against him. Janet Mills is the the Democratic governor in Maine. I should say also they're running against Susan Collins, who's one of the great survivors in Republican politics. And so the pressure's on to try and win Maine from Susan Collins, who just slaughters anyone who comes up against her. All right. The day that Janet Mills got in the race, comments were revealed from a Reddit subforum, or whatever they're called, Anti-Work, which is a forum for those who want to end work. I just read you a few of them. In one now deleted Reddit comment from 2021, Platner responded to a thread about people becoming more conservative as they aged by saying, "I got older and became a communist." So, admitted communist. One Reddit user wrote, bastards, cops are bastards. And Platner replied, all of them, in fact. And another thread, he said he was a vegetable-growing, psychedelics-taking socialist these days. After the war, I've pretty much stopped believing in any of the patriotic nonsense that got me there in the first place, and I'm a firm believer the best thing a person can do is help their neighbours and live a loving life. Still got the guns, though. I don't trust the fascists to act politely. Another time he wrote, tell them that if they expect to fight fascism without a good semi-automatic rifle, they ought to do some reading of history. Political violence. He responded to a thread titled, white people aren't as racist or stupid as Trump thinks, by writing, living in white rural America, I'm afraid to tell you they actually are. He wrote in another Reddit forum in 2021, I did used to love America, or at least the idea of it. These days I'm pretty disgusted by it all. Another one, he wrote, rape is a real thing. If you're so worried about it to buy Kevlar underwear, you'd think you might not get blacked out, fucked up around people you aren't comfortable with. And another post saw him wondering why blacks tip so little at bars. I should say, of everything I read you, he's distanced himself from every single one of those, except for the black people tipping.
Really?
He stands by that. He used to work in a bar. He said black people never tip. Interesting tactic.
That's a choice.
Yeah, interesting tactic, but yeah, he stands by it to this day. So there you go. You can't say that he's not full of surprises. Mm-hmm. So this became controversial for all kinds of reasons. You really go across the board there. They have things that might offend one person or another person. And he issued an apology.
It's important to know that this was a time in my life where I was struggling deeply. I got out of the Army in 2012. I had PTSD. I had depression. I had all of the things that come with serving in a war, in 2 wars, that I eventually began to not believe in at all. It left me feeling very unmoored. It left me feeling very disillusioned, very alienated, and very isolated. And I think, like a lot of people, I went on the internet to post stupid things and get in fights and find some form of community in some way, some outlet for my feelings, for my rage, for my isolation. It wasn't until I found actual community that all went away. And the reason that I stopped posting on Reddit around 2020 and 2021 is because that was the point in my life where I had found this. I had moved back to my hometown. I'd found community. I'd started a business. I'd met someone to fall in love with. I'd been able to really begin to feel connected again.
Like I said, he's apologized 1,000 times in different publications, and every single apology is different, by the way, which is something I actually give him credit for. It means he's not reading talking points. And another one, he said, I don't want people to judge me off the dumbest thing I said on the internet 12 years ago. I'd like people to engage with who I am today, which I think is, given what I've just been saying repeatedly, I think is a reasonable sentiment. Okay, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. Like we've talked about taking accountability and asking for forgiveness, and that's what he's doing. You know, I read another apology of his where he talked, about the comments he'd made about rape, and he said, when he was serving, he was in an all-male environment, and that was the framework he knew, that was the lens he knew, and then he came back to the States and met women vets and learned, and changed his framework, and that's exactly what we have been talking about. I think, part of me is worried about having our own double standards around this, because there is also, you sort of alluded to it earlier, Chaz, there's also a slickness about his politicking, and I think because of the broader circumstances of American politics and the way that men in particular have been so slippery, like J.D. Vance, leads people, I think, to rightly suspect that, somebody's not authentic, or that they're being slippery, or that, they do really believe that. They just know it's not politically convenient to align with it. I'm not suggesting that that's necessarily the case here, more that the skepticism towards this is understandable and fairly predictable. And, it's also true that this is reacting to these comments being revealed, but these comments were on Reddit and they were public, and
They
he
were very
must have
public.
remembered that they
Yes.
existed, right? And
Yeah.
he didn't address them publicly until he was forced to. And I think we're going to get to the tattoo, but
We are. We'll do the comments first, then we'll get to the tattoo.
I think that like what we've seen is exactly what we were talking about, and I think particularly kind of like Gen X-y millennials like have to be able to learn from like and grow from frameworks that they grew up in. And part of his appeal, part of this guy's appeal is that, he could be MAGA Trump. That's the point. Like he could be, but he found connection. Like he stopped being chronically online and found connection. And that's why Sanders likes him so much, because that's his whole argument. And it's a good argument, I think, that's borne out by the evidence. So yeah, it's a really tricky one. What do you think?
I think that, first of all, it's like I think this is the political example I said before as well, that you're in politics, anything goes.
Yeah.
Like certainly he doesn't have any excuses in terms of texts, private texts, or even semi-private group chats. When you're on Reddit, that is as public as it gets. So that's I think that this all's fair in this case. I mean, it's an interesting situation with him because there are two elements to this. It's not just about his actual morality. It's also about trying to assess what someone else would think about his morality, because it's about a primary. And Maine is a really funny state, which it's got the blue tinge of Maine is so blue, but it is a rural state, and the general public are quite conservative. And and so maybe you can't give a guy a chance who you want to give a chance to, not because you want to punish him, but just because you need that seat, and this is a primary. And so it's not about, and so if you decide to just trash him and get rid of him, it wouldn't be about, or undermine him, it wouldn't be about punishing him for what he said. It would just be about, I'm sorry, you've made yourself unelectable. Yeah. We just need to move on. You're in the PR game, and you just muddied yourself. Yeah. Sorry. So there is that element as well. An important factor with him is the primary is 8 months away. It's not tomorrow, which is great.
Yeah.
It means he has a chance to win back trust. It means that 8 months is more than enough time for him to do the thousands of interviews he seems to want to do. And it's either going to work or it's not. The polling's going to tell the tale. Yep. I'd like to see some general election polls for him, not just primary polls. And I guess we'll know whether he's earned people's trust back. If he's certainly seeking forgiveness. Like on a personal level, I have no problems with the media. I mean, look, actually, to be honest, I think everything he said there was lame. None of that bothers me. None of that bothers me. I mean, I'm not saying that I agree with it all, but just compared to some of the shit we've been wading through.
Absolutely,
like, let's get some perspective here. Yeah. It's 2025. Let me introduce you to Twitter. But to the extent that anyone is offended, you just go, well, you got 8 months.
Absolutely. And I mean, strategically, it's pretty clever of him to be doing all of the apologies and just the millions of interviews about it now, because the media following it will get tired of it.
Yeah.
Like the story will fizzle out and
Absolutely.
they'll look for something new. So,
although I suspect there's more coming, but
I reckon you're right.
But anyway, so that's my first reaction. Just he needs to go about earning people's trust, and he's doing it. So let's see if it works. That's my first. That's my first impulse. Okay, let's look at the reactions to this, and then we'll worry about the tattoo.
They're so bad.
He is one of the few people who has faced instant consequences in this scenario, other than a couple of those Republicans, those young Republicans getting sacked. His political director immediately resigned, and his political director was one of probably the best known figures in his team. She has actually, in Maine, she has a political reputation of her own, which might be the reason she just got out of there immediately. Her name is Genevieve McDonald. She's a state rep on her own. She said his past statements, quote, were not known to me when I agreed to join the campaign, and they are not words or values I can stand behind in a candidate. While I'm empathetic to Graham's experiences and respect his personal journey and growth, I cannot overlook the volume and nature of his past comments, many of which were made as an adult, not as a young man. You might have missed in that apology. He was very open about it, saying, yet this started 12 years ago, but it continued until 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When he was 36.
Yeah.
And
from the director's perspective, that's an issue of trust that he didn't disclose that to her. Like that's something that was obviously going to be an issue. Like, of course it's going to be an issue.
Absolutely. Interesting one, Rokana reaction. Remember we played Rokana before about Jay Jones. Rokana, for those who don't know his politics, is very much of the Sanders wing of the Republican Party. He's kind of like the slickest version of the Sanders wing. And he said, let's be clear. The DSCC, that's the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, they're the establishment. The DSCC leaked this to try to destroy Platner the day their hand-picked candidate entered the race. I respect Platner's journey and the man he is today. I respect the politics of personal destruction. I stand by my endorsement. Sorry, not respect, I reject. I reject the politics of personal destruction. I stand by my endorsement. I won't cower to the establishment. With Jay Jones, he was just like, well, that's horrible. I can't support that. See you later. With this guy, he's going, no, I'm not going to, I reject the politics of personal destruction. Don't you give me that personal destruction. I'm staying by my man. So maybe he wasn't being so straightforward before. Maybe he's just... Jay Jones, by the way, is a conservative Democrat. So, a corporate Democrat. Maybe he's just going with his politics. Does it matter that this is clearly a political leak to help his opposition? Do we care?
Can we even call it a leak when it was publicly, it was publicly posted stuff? I think that's what, that's, I guess what I was getting at with his, was it his campaign director who resigned? Yeah. It's an issue of trust and judgment. Like he's obviously catastrophically damaged that working relationship because he wasn't honest about something that happened quite recently. 5 years is not that long, right? And again, that's why that political slickness kind of makes you go, maybe. So no, again, I think it's that it was publicly available. Like, too bad. You've got to wear it. Is that?
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. In fact, I don't even think there's anything immoral about it. This is politics.
Yeah.
Like, of course, your opposition is going to run oppo on you.
Yeah, and if not your opposition, a journo, someone's going to dig it up.
Would you expect them not to? Do you expect? I have messages of him being a dickhead. I'm going to keep them to myself because it'd be unfair to release them to the public. Of course they're going to release them. That's not the politics of personal destruction. That's just politics.
Yeah, it's so interesting that he personal destruction as a stand-in for cancel culture to make it sound.
Yes. I actually have a quote here. This might be the article you talked about. I have a quote to illustrate what I was saying before about him being a good speaker and a good apologizer. Is the Atlantic. Was it the Atlantic that you read?
I don't remember.
Okay. That's right. He's been in a lot of publications. Yeah. In the Atlantic, I was reading this and I was thinking, this guy's good. He's really, really good. He just seems really authentic and he comes off as just a great talker. This is him talking about the rape one. Yeah. I asked him about the 2013 entry, so it's 2013, in which he asked in a thread about rape prevention underwear, whether people should take some responsibility for themselves and not get so fucked up they wind up having sex with someone they don't mean to. His face reddened and he told me, I read that post and I was like, I'm fucking embarrassed. In another post from 2013, he downplayed the possibility that the military was covering up sexual assault allegations. And there's a quote. The way that we used to talk and look at the world, he said, referring to the culture of Marines and Army, is deeply fucked up. He told me that he never viewed sexual assault as acceptable, but he said they used to be skeptical of its pervasiveness. Platner offered the questionable explanation that he had served in the time before women were allowed in the infantry. So, quote, I didn't have any context, so I was willing to make stupid jokes about it. Platner told me that his experience as an older non-traditional university student helped him start viewing things differently. I got exposed to a lot of people, he said. He continued, I met a lot of women who at some point in their life had been sexually assaulted. This evolution appears to be backed up by his Reddit history. In a 2017 post, Platner criticised the members of the Facebook group Marines United who were caught posting nude photos of female service members. He called the posters losers who hid behind the computer and camaraderie to justify their hatred of women, and said, nail these fucks to the wall. So anyway, I was reading, I just think this guy's a good candidate.
Yeah.
He just is. So if that was all it was, I'm just thinking he's bouncing back from this, no problems. He's moving on. He's cool. He's sweet. Now we get the tattoo.
Yeah.
In Pod Save America, things changed. They played this somewhat awkward video, which the people who are watching can watch, and then we'll talk about it for the people who aren't watching. What we're seeing there is him lip-syncing to Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus with his top off for some reason.
And he's really committed to it.
He's really committed to it. He wants nothing more than to perform this song. And what we're not really paying much attention to is the tattoo on his right pec. This is him trying to explain it. I should say, he did, in Pod Save America, debut the phrase, I'm not a secret Nazi, which I think will go down in history, in the history of politics. As being a phrase you don't want to say as part of your campaign. He then went on to say, actually, if you read through my Reddit comments, I think you can pretty much figure out where I stand on Nazism and anti-Semitism and racism in general. I'd say lifelong opponent. But this was his explanation.
And we went ashore in Split, Croatia, myself and a few of the other machine gun squad leaders. And we got very inebriated, and we did what Marines on liberty do, and we decided to go get a tattoo. And we went to a tattoo parlor in Split, Croatia, and we chose a terrifying-looking skull and crossbones off the wall because we were Marines, and skulls and crossbones are a pretty standard military thing, and we got those tattoos. And then we all moved on with our lives. And I actually joined the Army after that, where I got, I had to go to MEPS. I got screened. Later on, I got a security clearance and a full screen when I went to work for the State Department as a contractor doing security for the ambassador to Afghanistan in 2018. And I've also just lived my entire life like a regular person with the skull and crossbones on their chest, which by that I mean taking my shirt off, performing Miley Cyrus songs in front of my extended family and to my sister-in-law, and just taking my shirt off at the beach.
Right, presumably going to the beach, yeah.
I mean, I went to college. I went to the gym. I did all the things. And at no point in this entire experience of my life did anybody ever once say, hey, you're a Nazi. It never came up until we got wind that in the opposition research, somebody was shopping the idea that I was a secret Nazi with a hidden Nazi tattoo. And I can honestly say that if I was trying to hide it, I've not been doing a very good job for the past 18 years.
Okay, and then as well as that, in a statement to the Associated Press late Tuesday, Platner said, it was not until I started hearing from reporters and DC insiders that I realized this tattoo resembled a Nazi symbol. I absolutely would not have gone through life having this on my chest if I knew that. And to insinuate that I did is disgusting. I'm already planning to get this removed. And then he did have it covered up. This is the new tattoo over the top, which is a bit strange, but at least it's not a skull and crossbones. So, yeah, he said that would just take too long to get removed. He just wanted to get it off, and the easiest way was just to get it covered up. So that's what he's done. So, before we go through the reaction, what are your thoughts?
So, because I've read differing accounts of this, when does he say he realised what the tattoo meant?
A week ago.
Only a week ago?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
No,
so
that is a key fact. I'm glad you've hit on that.
Yeah, because some of the, obviously we don't rely on social media, but some of the accounts are suggesting that he probably knew that for a lot longer.
Oh, I'm going to mention every one of them.
Yeah, great. I could rely on you guys. So I think this, it raises those issues of judgment that we've been talking about before, that how do you not know that, and how do you not have people in your life that might have pointed that out to you, especially in the context of today's politics in the United States. So, I think we can give people the benefit of the doubt, and, he's covered it up immediately, but it doesn't sit right with me. I'm not quite sure why. I don't think I can articulate why yet, but yeah, there's something off about it. What do you reckon?
I think that, well, I kind of need to tell you everything else before I tell you. Okay, actually, before I do, I'll try and go back to what I was thinking when I first heard the reaction. When I first heard the story, before I knew all the stuff I now know, I was thinking exactly the same thing as before, which was he's apologized. He's sorry for it. He's fixing it up. It's not really up to me whether it's a problem or not. It's up to his voters. He's in politics.
Yeah, sure.
If voters don't mind, cool. Yeah, and if the voters do mind, too bad. You're in the PR industry now, sunshine. That's how it works. It's, so that's my first reaction. All right, so because of obviously what you think, well, is it possible he's a Nazi? No, he's not Nazi. He's clearly not Nazi. He's clearly never been a Nazi. I mean, look at those Reddit posts. They're not the posts of people, even the ones that he's ashamed of are not the posts of a Nazi. He's not a Nazi. But as I've heavily insinuated, I do not think he's telling the truth. And that is an issue in itself.
Yeah.
Let's start with his acquaintance, whoever that is. Jewish Insider reported that an acquaintance of Platner's had heard the former Marine referring to his chest tattoo as my Totenkopf in 2012. The name of the skull and crossbones is the Totenkopf. That's the Nazi name. Mm-hmm. He said, "Oh, this is my Totenkopf." An acquaintance recalls Platner telling him at Tune In, a Capitol Hill bar where Platner worked in 2012. He said it in a cutesy little way. So this guy remembers where he worked in 2012. It makes it more likely that he's for real. He went on. He would often take his shirt off drinking with friends late at night at the bar. Sounds right, likely. And on at least one occasion had stated he knew what the tattoo represented, the former acquaintance recalled. Platner gave varying accounts of the image during this time, saying at one point he was aware it was a Totenkopf when he had first gotten the tattoo several years prior. Another time claiming he had not known when he got the tattoo, according to the former acquaintance. When the acquaintance is saying he changed his story, that makes me trust the acquaintance. Yeah. Because it doesn't make him seem more reliable that he's got different accounts. At least not to an idiot. But I think that's how real people are. So when I see people talk about changing stories, I think, it rings true. Genevieve McDonald, the political director who resigned, who I think has behaved impeccably so far, I got no problems with her, said, Graham has an anti-Semitic tattoo on his chest. He's not an idiot. He's a military history buff. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know it when he got it, but he got it years ago, 18 years ago for those keeping count, and should have had it covered up because he knows damn well what it means now. And she added this important point. She said the campaign had been aware of the tattoo since she joined it in August. She said Platner told her a month ago he had a tattoo that could be problematic, she said. That doesn't sound transparent to me.
Nope.
On the other hand, on Tuesday, the Washington Post reported that the Marine who served with Platner, whom the campaign put the reporter in touch with, got a similar tattoo to him. Checked it and corroborated his story. The Marines said they got the tattoos together while intoxicated to commemorate a deployment after many of their friends were killed or injured. He said They liked the image because it was more unique than the other skulls. And so they got it. They didn't know what it was, he says.
Mm-hmm.
That I believe. I believe that when he got the tattoo 18 years ago, they were drunk and he got the tattoo not necessarily knowing what it was off the top of his head. He even wrote a Reddit thread about army guys getting SS bolts on them.
Mm.
And this is what he wrote. I know a bunch of black and Latino HOGs, I don't know what that means, with bolts. They'd be quite surprised to hear they are part of a conspiracy to infiltrate white supremacists in the Marine Corps, he said in another comment, adding, bolts were an STA icon since the 80s at least, if not longer. It was never official, but it sure as shit was tattooed on almost every HOG I knew between 2004 and 2012. He also wrote in the post that he's a liberal and was merely explaining military culture. He said, you could read through my post history and see I'm pretty radically left, but this is a specific culture I'm close with and know intimately. I'm not being willfully obtuse. I'm explaining something that is far more nuanced than you're willing to understand. I believe him in that post.
Mm-hmm.
so this is what I think. I think, and yeah, this is just my judgment. You can disagree. I think he maybe didn't know when he got it. I think he knew pretty soon afterwards.
Yeah.
He's lying about the fact that he just, once he got it, he just thought, oh, I've got this stupid tattoo. No one knows. Who gives a shit? Yeah. And maybe it was a bit ironic about it. Maybe it was just like, oh, I'm a Nazi tattoo. I'm not a Nazi. We all know that. Yeah, the kind of humour I was talking about before.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit of that. Either way, he clearly knew earlier than a week ago, which is what he's saying now.
Yeah.
So he's a liar. And I think he is a really good liar, and a really convincing liar, and a really shameless liar. And I think that's a problem in itself.
Yeah.
And if I am a main voter, that's the bit that's worrying me. It's not anything he said, or even the Nazi tattoo. It's, I don't trust this guy at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and that goes back to his judgment again, doesn't it? Like, that, I think you're right. You know, you can give him the benefit of the doubt and think maybe he didn't know when he got it. I mean, again, questionable judgment, a tattoo parlor in Croatia with those kinds of tattoos. Like,
sure.
But sure, benefit of the doubt, you know, but it does beg a belief that he didn't know sooner, and certainly he's got to have known before a week ago. And that, I mean, that was my instinct as someone, you know, who's been following it on socials, like not super closely. And I think that's where, you know, a lot of their reaction is coming from. It's that suspicion about his slickness and his judgment. Like, how could you possibly think, like, that tattoo would not be, or might not be problematic in this political environment? Like, why did he think he would get away with it? Honestly,
I mean, like, that's cool. That's reasonable, and that's fair enough. But for me, it's not even that. Like, he can make a mistake. He can have mistaken judgment. For me, it's it's just a lying. Yeah. It's like, if he said, I got this tattoo, I was drunk. A year later, I realized it was a Nazi tattoo, and I just thought, well, I'm never going to get rid of it. It's huge. Yeah. Like, it's like, I just thought, oh, who cares? No, it's just a skull and crossbones. No one knows the difference. And now it's I'm not going to get elected with this, and I'm sorry. Should I have not run for office when I really, really care because I made this stupid mistake 18 years ago? I'll get removed. I don't actually support this, but I just thought it was something that was just too late to make a difference on, and I was wrong. And like, if he said something like that, I'd be cool. Yeah, like, just because I think the concern of the tattoo is that, is he a Nazi? And if he's not a Nazi, I don't care. Yeah, it's but yeah, other people might disagree, but yeah, I just think, look, you might still vote for him anyway. There are plenty of politicians who I have respect for as politicians who I just do not trust at all. And maybe he's one of them.
No, and I mean
that's why he's got 8 months.
Like, I guess it feels more duplicitous because part of the platform that he and the broader progressive wing of the Democratic Party are kind of running on when they're running is about restoring trust in politics and restoring trust in the government to do its job and serve the American people.
Especially his image.
Who need help. Exactly.
His image is so authentic.
Yeah. Yeah. And he is, you know, potentially catastrophically undermining that pitch by lying about it, exactly as you say.
Totally. What would your response be to those. Okay, the Republican response to the people who are forgiving him. Oh, come on. How is this different to Elon Musk with his Nazi salute? You guys were so harsh on Elon Musk, and now all of a sudden, Graham's a good guy. Look at that beautiful moustache. Oh. They didn't say that. But for Republicans to say there's a massive double standard here, the fact that people even considering supporting the guy with the Nazi tattoo that after the hubbub with Elon Musk and his Nazi salute. What's your response to that?
Well, I mean, it's probably like one of the few cases where it's hard to argue with that. Like, what is the standard if not that? And I think part of the, the aversion to the reaction that's going on is that it does have a whiff of, particularly with the crooked media angle, of the white boys getting around each other.
Yeah.
And that sends a message to the kinds of voters that Democrats need to, rebuild trust with. And in that way, he, of course, has become a kind of avatar for the battle of the soul of the Democratic Party. And so it gets all this ridiculous stuff projected onto it. But it is a good question. Like, what is the standard and who does it apply to?
You know how you said you can't argue with it? I can argue with it.
Of course you can.
I will. I'll tell you the difference between him and Elon. Where's Elon apologising?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I should make clear I don't think that they are equivalent.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of apologies from Graham Platner. I haven't seen Elon do anything but shit talk in response.
Yeah, but lean into it.
Yeah, like Elon afterwards was a real dickhead about it. Like, and I'm being consistent here because I said this at the time. Lockie can back me up on this. I was like, why doesn't Elon just say, it wasn't a Nazi salute. I'm sorry if it seemed like one.
Yeah.
Which is what a normal person would say. That's what a normal person would say. I mean, look, I'm not even arguing, was it a Nazi salute, was it not? Regardless, I mean, I don't think it was. A lot of people think it was. So I don't think it was, but a lot of people do think it was. But regardless, it doesn't matter. Why wouldn't you as a normal person, unless you're just being an edgelord, just go, yeah, I'm sorry, and then move on? No, he can't apologise. Never.
No, never.
So that's the difference between him and Platner. I don't accept that they're the same thing for that reason. Like it's not about the action. It's about your response to the action. It's always about your response to the action.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's still context in which the action remains unacceptable despite an apology. Like I don't think this is the same as his comments about rape, for example, which occurred in a particular context at a particular time, and that he's clearly learnt from. Like this, the timeline's too short.
Yeah,
I think.
Sure. And there's one more. There's one more question here, which is from the left side. I go, okay, where have you guys been for the last 12 years or 10 years, whatever it is? 9 years. 9 years. Where have you been for the last...
his time.
Yeah. Where have you guys been for the last 9 years? You're going to disqualify a candidate for their tattoo when the sleaziest president in history has done absolutely everything and had no accountability whatsoever under any circumstances and wins elections easily? Have you guys just stepped out of a time machine from 1993? What's wrong with you? This is nothing compared to the shit Trump does. Why does he get away with it and everyone else has got to practice responsibility? I am not advocating that. I'm just saying that's the argument that you hear. What's your response to that?
Well, I mean, like, just because Trump does it, that doesn't make it okay. like, to go back to your earlier comments about, like, decency, like, of course you want to hold your candidates to a higher standard than Republicans are holding theirs. Like, that's the point.
But they'd say the left are unilaterally disarming.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I was kind of getting at in terms of, that this has become a focus for the battle for the soul of the Democratic Party, and they're projecting all of their fights onto it. And one of those fights is around, left woke cancel culture, and we cared too much about those issues and not the issues affecting, real Americans and inequality. And like part of the complication with this race in Maine is that, this guy's really good at talking about those kinds of issues. Like, he is the ideal candidate in that sense. But it's perfectly legitimate for supporters of the Democratic Party to ask questions about his judgment. You know, like that, holding your people who are aiming to represent you to account and to standards of decency is a perfectly legitimate thing to do. And just because that's, you know, seems to have largely disappeared from a lot of American politics doesn't mean that it's something that, you know, the Democratic Party shouldn't aspire to in a way that is generous and offers forgiveness when it is asked for, but that still holds people to account for lying and for dragging their colleagues in particular under the bus with them, or attempting to, by, you know, not being totally honest. Like, I think he's put Sanders, he's put Kana, he's put AOC in very difficult positions. And that also internally is, you know, potentially unforgivable.
Yeah. I would say, in response to that question, that the enemy is not Republicans, the enemy is not Trump, the enemy is not MAGA, the enemy is nihilism.
Yeah.
I think that when we give into, everyone, when humanity gives into nihilism, all is lost. Like when people start going, nothing matters. Whatever, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Whatever. Anything goes. Doesn't matter, who gives a toss. At that point in time, you're done. Pack it in. Society's over.
Well, I mean, it's part of the reason America's in the situation it is, because millions of people have caved into that and don't vote.
Yeah. I mean, like when you think about, and I do think about this a bit, when you think about the Russian situation, like think about Russia 15 years ago. The Putin special was to make people just give up.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the biggest difference between Russia and America at that point in time. And I feel like what we're seeing is America speed down the road to giving up. And so many people are just openly saying, I'm just giving up. I understand. I feel like it too.
Yeah.
I see comments all the time. People saying, I just can't do this anymore. It's just, I love you guys. I like your show. It's too depressing. I can't do it anymore. And I'm not just saying this so you watch my show. The way that you can fight it is by watching our show. Watch it twice if you got a ratings book. No, I'm not saying that. But I am saying that just whichever way you can look, which it doesn't matter our show, whichever way you look at the sun, keep looking at the sun. As soon as you just go, it just hurts too much, I got to look away. Nah, you're fucked. And when I say that, I'm not having a go at you if you are one of those people. I understand, and I'm not blaming you. When I say you're fucked, I don't mean you are a fucked person. I mean that is when we as a society are fucked. That is when, that is when there's no coming back. Because to come back, you have to care. And so I think the most important thing is we have to care. And that argument is all about not caring anymore. It's too hard. Look what Trump's done. Anything goes. I give up. No, don't. Okay, there's also a fourth guy who got into trouble, Paul Ingrassia, but you know what? I'm giving up on him. That's it. We're done because we are miles over time. and it's midnight. I'm sorry.
It's so far past my bedtime.
I promised you we weren't going to do it this time. The first time that you came on, I kept you up to like 1 a.m. I said, not this time. I did it again. I'm incorrigible. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I was a willing participant.
Thank you so much, Emma, for stepping in. And thanks for coming in. You live in Melbourne.
I do.
This is a long way to fly.
It's not too bad. It's lovely to be here in person. I've never done it in person before. It's great to be in.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Peppers, for sticking with us. And like I said, next one ain't going to be on Friday. We're going to record on Friday, but you're going to see it on Saturday or Sunday, depending on how the editor goes. Lockie, come out here, mate. Come on. Say goodbye to the Peppers. They're not going to see you for a month if you're released in time.
Stop it.
I don't like that joke.
Lockie, you get the honour of the final the final sign off for this podcast, I think.
Okay. Thanks, Peppers. And say hi to your mum for me.
No!